Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you guys doing? This is supposed to be a co-working session, so if you guys just pop in and out, thank you so much for popping in, saying hello. Rich, I see you. What is cracking? Let me get my sound effects together. What's popping? Dr. Elo texted me literally right as I hit go live. So what is good? Elo, que lo que? K-Walk, what is popping? How are you? I see David here. Luft, I see you. I see all of you guys. Thank you so much. And there are a handful of other of you guys just kind of lurking in the comments. That's all right. Let me fix my headphones. I've been trying to get Marcus. What is cracking? How are you? How is everything? Let me see in this scene here. Let's fix this over this way. What's up with the Eagles shirt? Well, this is the second comment I got about this shirt today. I bought this shirt last winter or this winter, whenever it was, whenever we were this year, when we went to the Super Bowl, because I had a live stream that night. And so I wanted to rep, obviously, the night of the live stream because the Phillies were in the Super Bowl. We ended up losing. I haven't worn the shirt since. And so I was looking for clothes today, and it was fairly unwrinkled. I still had to wrinkle it, iron it, but it was fairly unwrinkled. And so I was like, oh, this will be nice to wear. That's what it is. I actually don't even follow football. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't even follow football. So I know it has been a minute. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and it's not going to be that type of live stream. Of course, I wanted to make sure I said what's up, told everybody thank you. It is mostly, I have work to do. I have a huge webinar that I am hosting on Wednesday on digitally presenting your personal brand. I networked last year with an accounting firm and ended up landing a huge webinar to their employee resource group, in particular, the women's employee resource group. It's the accounting firm is called Whipfly, and I'm presenting to the women of Whipfly, wow. And it's literally for your personal branding. And for those of you guys, all of you guys that are here, it's, I'm going to be talking your language, but with my experience with working in corporate America, you guys know when the pandemic hit. So first impressions are everything. And for those of you guys that have been following me, you've heard me say this stuff. I'm big on your digital first impression. First impressions are everything. Obviously, when you are doing in-person meetings, you dress to impress. You walk into a room, you command a presence, right? There's things that you can do to create that first impression, especially when you are working in that corporate America environment, and then taking it a step further in the sales environment. That is my history. You guys know I come from the financial industry, primarily sales. I used to be a bank manager, where we had to, land business customers, do business loans, things like that. And then as a loan officer, a loan originator for the last 7 years, I'm commission-based, right? The majority of my paycheck is all commission, so it's all sales. So those first impressions are huge to set yourself aside from your competition. And even as an entrepreneur, it's the same thing now, right? As an entrepreneur, there's a very small window to create that lasting first impression to make a lasting, connection. And so what I found in the industries is that kind of, when the pandemic happened, that kind of got thrown out the window, right? Everybody was just using their company provided laptop with the crappy webcam, the crappy microphone. And it was like you're joining Zooms, Teams, WebEx, whatever it is that the company used. And that's how you join meetings. And, if you had a business meeting with a customer, you were doing something through one of those, and that was it. That's my story. That's how I got into eCam, of really setting myself aside and doing the presentations, so on and so forth. And that's what I have started to surround my business around, right? Your digital first impression. And what does that look like? Because what I am seeing is that, we are a very small, tight-knit community. We help each other out. We do the research, right? We are live streamers, so we have the gear and the equipment. But I guarantee, and I'm just looking at all of you guys in the chat, for the most part, we all work in some sort of professional environment, right? And so I guarantee every single one of you guys go to your peers, your colleagues at your, full-time career, and they don't know that they can bring in a better quality image even with using their cell phone, right? It doesn't have to be by upgrading the camera. Of course, that's a better thing that you can do, getting a better quality webcam, a mirrorless camera, but you can upgrade your image with just using your cell phone. You can upgrade your audio with setting up something, even something like this, like a Rode Video Micro. Obviously, this is top of the line. You can get some wireless mics. Your lighting, you can make your lighting even better, all of that good stuff. And so that is it in a nutshell, right? Of what my presentation is going to be doing. It's a high level overview to their BRG employees on personal branding. A big part of that personal branding is elevating and upgrading your gear. I'm going to be providing gear guides, so PDF guides for different budgets. I decided to do bronze, silver, and gold budgets. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on today, just finalizing the presentation itself. And I realized, so twofold, it's been a hot minute. Can I do a screen share here? There you go. So this is what I have so far. If I can make this a little bit bigger, it's just a template that I created. So literally that's when I stopped. I decided to, create the post and say, well, let me come on to YouTube let me come on to YouTube and let me do a co-working session. I'm going to throw some music on, and then you guys can ask more about the webinar itself. You can ask more about how I landed it. You guys know that I am extremely transparent. I think that transparency and sharing information is crucial for all of our success in the community, right? So if someone is doing something and you're being successful, I don't believe in coveting it. I don't believe in hiding things. And there's also a very fine line with bragging, right, as well. And I don't do that. So if you want to ask me about how exactly did I land this, how long did it take, let me know. I'll tell you that, like I said, I attended a networking event last November. So from November all the way through to my invoice was paid in May. I was courting this client. I was nurturing the relationship. I was staying on top of it. Luckily, they were also in that same space as me. But, in this business as an entrepreneur, it's not always going to be like, oh, I met you in November and in December, you're paying me and we're doing the event at the end of December, right? Especially in sales, again, with my experience, especially in sales, a lot of it is and has been, I may knock on somebody's door today. I may call somebody. I may meet with someone today, and we may hit it off, but that relationship may not come to fruition until months, a year, 2 years later. So 100%. It is a long game for sure. So if you guys want to ask me questions, like I said, about how I met the client, how I pitched myself, what that nurturing relationship looks like. If you want to ask me about the invoicing, feel free to ask about, how I'm charging them for this, what it looks like, because it's not just a webinar. So the webinar that I'm doing on Wednesday, it's a 1-hour webinar, high level overview. And then we have advanced mastery sessions that are 3 mastery sessions for their employees. So if you want to find out more about pricing and how I figured that out, anything to that extent, let me know. You can see here, I do have the gear guide that I am going to be working on today. So Dr. Elo asked the question, why no platinum? I may do a platinum. So we definitely know bronze, silver, and gold. I thought about platinum. I'll be honest with you, that was on my list. I started to get overwhelmed because you have to, it's the budget. And budgeting, you guys know, budgeting is so hard. Because what may be, and I know I've heard Doc and Diana talk about this a lot, being careful with using the word cheap, being careful with using the word expensive, right? Those words, that language is relative. Um, because what may be cheap to me, what I consider, and I'm not talking about quality cheap that it breaks tomorrow. I'm talking about the cost of something. Is this cheap or is this expensive? Um, so not in terms of build quality, but in terms of pricing. That is a very relative thing of budgeting of what is effective, what is cheap for me versus what is cheap for someone else, or what is expensive for me versus what is expensive for someone else. So figuring out the budgets, that's why I said, you know what, let me start with bronze, silver, and gold. Let me start with 3 different tiers for now. Um, and start with kind of the minimal. And like I said, with us in this community, the bronze is going to be the basics, right? You can use your cell phone. So you're going to save some money on not purchasing an external camera, whether it's a webcam or whether it's a mirrorless. But then focusing on that topic of a camera, bronze may be a webcam like an Elgato Facecam Pro, like the webcam. What's the webcam? The AI webcam. I forget. You guys know the one. I have to look it up. But you guys know that that one's a 4K webcam. Doc loves it. He lives by it, right? So that can go. I'm thinking that's going to go in the silver. And then in the gold will be a mirrorless camera, whether it's a ZV-1 at like $600 or even a ZV-1F at $550 or a ZV-E10 at $750 above, right? The difference is, and maybe talking about it, maybe then the platinum, maybe then the gold will be a ZV-1 slash ZV-1F, but then the platinum can be a ZV-E10 where now we can add in the lenses. So that's a good idea. Good food for thought. The Insta360, yes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys, right? So that'll be a webcam that's of $350. That can go in the silver category. Let me bring up notes because as I talk to you guys, that'll be helpful as well. And what I was trying to do during the 5-minute countdown was I was trying to, hold on, I don't know if I have anything private on my notes there. Let's bring this up here. You guys know I am always doing crazy stuff like that. I also made my noise gate a little bit heavier. Let's just make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. I also made my noise gate a little bit heavier because when now in the summertime, the central AC is running, you guys know that I'm in the basement. And so if I turn away, you may notice the noise gate kicking in. And that's why, because right now the AC just kicked in and with the levels that I have it at, it works very well as long as I'm talking directly into the mic. But the minute I start to kind of talk, you can hear that. All right, so let's go in. Let me write that note. Notes for gear guides. I'm going to throw up some music soon. Let me just turn this into a bulleted list really quick. So yeah, the Ozbot, I'll look at the Ozbot webcam. Is it the same? Aren't they the same company? No, they're different. So the Ozbot is different than the Insta. But the Insta is the one I was talking about. Or are they the same company? I know that they're AI cameras, and I know that they actually have really good quality. The Facecam Pro, I have the regular Facecam. I mean, it's 1080p. It's decent quality, so maybe I'll add that in. Facecam or Facecam Pro. The problem with the Facecam Pro is that they're always sold out. They're very hard to get. So let me just come over here and bronze, silver, gold, possibly platinum. And so then under here, we can talk about, and I'll just do another bulleted list down over here, possibly platinum with ZV-E10. Interchangeable lenses. And then the gold we would do with the ZV-1. I'm also recovering from COVID. I went to Florida. Angie and I went to Florida 2 weeks ago. And we got back on the 28th, I think. And literally when I got back, we got back on Friday. And when I woke up on Saturday morning, I woke up with the worst headache. I was able to feel every single tooth in my mouth. My scalp hurt, my back hurt. I thought it was a migraine because like I said, it was a really bad headache. I suffer from headaches. And then I was nauseous, which when my headaches get really bad, I'm like messing this all up. So I kind of slept it off. And then when I woke up on Monday, it still was really bad. Went to the doctor and I tested positive for COVID. And I've been down for the count since then. This week was the first week that I started feeling really, really, really good. Or not compared to the way I was feeling, because I still feel crappy. I still feel congested. My head feels like it's in a compression tank. I'm not getting as nauseous, but I still get like headaches and stuff. So I feel much better. But yeah. And let me just come back over here. Let me come main. So you saw that. So we're going to do 3 different gear guides, possibly a 4th, depending on how I look for time. I am good with time. My presentation is done itself. I'll show you guys the presentation. It's on Wednesday at 12 Eastern Standard. What I started to say was, I kind of went off a few times. I was trying to pair this with my Rodecaster Duo, and for whatever reason, it's not working. It wasn't pairing. So anyway, all right, so let me come back. Let me check on you guys, because then it would be easier for me to move around and not have to worry about. So I'm still going to try to mess around with this. Let me see all the things. So encouraging. Glad to see your post. Very good. Thank you so much, K-Walk. I appreciate you guys supporting me. Dr. Elo says he's shifting his focus to hybrid meetings. That's a thing going on right now. And that I always believed that when I saw how everything was transpiring during the pandemic, I knew that when things got to normal, the new normal would be hybrid meetings, right? Especially because there are these companies that do want their employees to return to work at least part-time. They have hybrid employees. And then for me, like even with what I was doing with first-time homebuyer seminars, obviously there are people that are willing to come in if there's fairs and all of that stuff. And I just thought about, if we're doing a fair and within, the first-time homebuyer expo, there's sessions that you can attend. Obviously, the people are coming for the expo to collaborate, to meet realtors, to meet inspectors, to meet attorneys and things like that. But then there are people that still can benefit from the information, but that don't want to join the expo. And so then at that point, a hybrid meeting would be great where, you're presenting to a room, you're having a meeting with 30 to 50 people, but you throw up a camera on a tripod, you plug in with a wireless mic, and think about the expanded reach that you can have by letting people register to attend these sessions online. So I always knew hybrid meetings were a thing. I wish that, I'm sure that they'll continue to take better shape. I wish that it was happening sooner. But I think hybrid meetings is the way to go. As Marcus says, I feel like hybrid is usually the worst of both worlds, so there's huge potential in creative solutions. I'd love to hear more about why you say the worst of both worlds, because I do see the potential. If done right, it can be really, really good. And like I said, it's expanded reach. Ecamm is working with Ozbot. Doc has been, so I didn't get a chance to see the live that he did. I think I was still feeling really sick, so I was like laid out. I have to check that out, but I did see that there is a new partnership. The Insta360 Go 3, love it. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking for now, because remember, the event is on Wednesday, so I need to also make sure, I got to see the budget. I got to make sure that it's attainable, that if people want to start ordering it Wednesday night, how soon can they get it? Because as I mentioned, there's 3 different follow-up meetings. And with the follow-up meetings, the first one is in September. And one of the prerequisites for the employees for these follow-up meetings is that if they're going to attend the follow-up meetings, these are the mastery classes that they purchased the upgraded gear. And then within these mastery classes, I'm not going to be there for tech support. That's not what the mastery classes are for. But then it's going to be, all right, so it is going to be those putting the best practices into place. So making sure that they do have the placement properly, making sure that, if there's any fine tuning that we can do with the audio, the placement of the microphone, eye camera, eye contact, body posture, and then just getting used to being on camera. That's what the mastery classes are going to be. So I need to make sure that whatever gear that I recommend will be readily available for people to start picking up and setting up immediately. Yeah. 4 years. I know I thought I was going to get away. Listen, we went to Florida, we came back, and I really think that that was a big part of it. And I don't know. So we went to Universal Studios, we went to Magic Kingdom, and then obviously flying. It could have been anywhere. It could have been at one of the parks. It could have been in the plane. I thought I had skated. K-Walk, did you trade the RCP2 for the Duo? I did not. I decided to keep the Rodecaster Pro 2 for any on-site gigs that I will land in the future. So I have one of the hard Pelican cases. I had bought it specifically to put my Rodecaster Pro. I still have the OG. So now the OG I'm going to be selling. I've just been very lazy with taking pictures of it. I have it in the original packaging. I've just slacked off completely. So I'm going to sell the OG, and then I have a long, hard Pelican case that I'm going to cut out the space for the Rodecaster Pro 2. And then I'm just thinking about, the microphones. I have the OG pod mic. I have the OG pod mic. So I don't know if I want to, because what I want to do, the vision is to have, 2 to 3 of the same microphone, so that if I go on site, plug in some microphone stands or get a handful of the mic stands, that it's all the same mic. But the vision is that whatever mic I land on, whether it's the upgraded pod mic or the OG pod mic, that then I cut out, the foam for the microphones, and I'll have my camera, my placement, then I have that travel bag. And then the Duo is for here for the studio, because I didn't need all of that overkill for the studio. Thank you so much. Absolutely. If you are watching, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to just tell YouTube that I'm alive and well again. I appreciate you guys. What is going on, Mr. Hunt? What is poppin'? Yeah. What is good? With the bad weather last week, a hybrid meeting was our best solution for a client who his flight got canceled in Texas. Oh, that's pretty cool. Would love to know how that heard. Yeah, I know it is 100%. Listen, for BIPOC, for LGBT, all of that, right? Florida is just exactly that. Let me know. That would probably be the best, honestly, because if I have the Rodecaster Pro, I don't necessarily need the USB functionality if that's what I'm going to be pairing it with. So if you are looking to sell, let me know, send me a message and we can see what we can work out. I think I'm going to have to run upstairs because I didn't save my presentation. It doesn't have it's on autosave. I was working on the actual PowerPoint upstairs. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up. No, I'm going to have to make a quick run to bring my laptop down. Oh, this is it. Okay, perfect. All right. So let me show you guys what this looks like here. The actual presentation itself. So let's go back and let's do a screen share, and then I'll get into my co-working. And like I said, you guys can ask any questions as we go. So this is not the scene. It's been a while. Here you go. I didn't save it on there you go. Let's bring this in. It's in PowerPoint format. All right, so just so you guys can see it. Very nice. Let me see. Nope. All right, there is that. Come on. Okay. So this is the name of the webinar. I got a second if India says no to the pod mics. Okay. Dr. Elo, listen. I got second if India says no. All right, we'll work it out. We all family. So this is the presentation itself. This is what I will be doing on Wednesday. This is the topic, presenting your brand. And so you guys, this is a good session here because this will be the first time I'm doing a cold run through of it. So you guys can be my audience. So please give me feedback. Bear with me as I do this because the only thing I've done was the presentation itself. I have not done a cold run through. So you guys will be helping me with this here. Let me just bring my mic. I mean, do I have a shortcut for PowerPoint? I have a shortcut for Keynote. I don't have a shortcut to advance the slides with PowerPoint. So let's do that together. So we're doing all the co-working things. All right, you guys can see my trusty Stream Deck. Let's go to the Excel. And what do I want to do? What do I want to remove? Because I want it on the first page. I'll do this free icon here. Do I not have PowerPoint installed? I think I have PowerPoint hidden. Okay, so let's see what we have. Do I not have it? Did I uninstall? I may not have. All right. So then let's go to the store really quick. I'm just going to search PowerPoint and I did not have it installed. It's this one right here. So let's install this bad boy. Nice, nice, nice. Very cool. That's exciting. All right. So that is installed and it should be. I feel like I'm missing something. Because I just installed it. Why is it not showing up? Was that so one of the things that drives me crazy, PowerPoint, productivity, that is definitely not it. Plugins, see more. Oh, that was an icon pack that I installed. So that's one. There you go. I did the wrong one. I wasn't paying attention. So you guys can see. So it was an icon pack. This is the one that I want here, the business tools. Let's install it. Now it should show up again. There you go. And it showed up on the bottom down over here. And so what I will do is I'm actually working out of Ecamm. So let's come in here. And what do I want to remove? I'll remove these. What do I want to do? I just need forward and backward. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a whole lot. Let's move this here. And then I'm just going to shift everything else over. And I want previous. And next. If I close that, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so this says Elgato Stream Deck wants to access control of Microsoft PowerPoint. Yes, I want to allow. Let's see. Dr. Elo, thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. So one thing I noticed, do you guys have this issue? Juan, how are you, Juan? Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. Do you guys notice this with your Macs when you have something like this? You see I'm clicking it and sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes I notice that if I take some time and I let it sit, that it will work. And then other times, um, I have to hit escape. Okay, now that worked. See? So you have to sometimes, you've seen it. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing, right? Like sometimes if you wait a little bit of time, it's like I don't know, doing whatever. You hit okay, it works. And then other times, regardless of how much time I wait, I end up having to hit escape. And then that creates other issues. All right, so if I hit next slide, what is happening here? Let me make sure that I am on Microsoft. It's not working. Does this have to work full? The problem is that if I do this full screen, I don't want it to be in like, let me see. Hold on. See, so the problem is what you're seeing here. So if I used slideshow, it takes up my full screen. And I don't want that. I'm first world problems, guys, first world problems. All I wanted to do was use the Stream Deck. And normally what I will do is that once this presentation is finalized, it will be, and if I swap displays, so here's swap displays, but you see the problem is that you can't minimize this. Like it literally takes up your full screen and I don't want it to do that. And what I was saying was, so I just minimized it again. I'll just use my arrows, not a big deal. What I normally do when I have these presentations, and once I know that I'm not going to make any changes to the presentation, I just export it to PDF in 16:9 format. And then I throw it as an overlay in, I use it as an overlay in Ecamm. Michael, two things. What's cracking? How are you? Thank you for coming through. And that is a very good question. And the reason why I'm not using, if I can talk, the reason why I'm not using Keynote is because this is an actual branded template with the company that I'm working with, Whipfly. They have their own branded templates. And then that's another speaking point that I'm going to highlight is using the tools, right? Making sure that you know what tools. So let's say I'm talking to you guys are the employees. It's making sure you know what tools and resources you have available to you. This is a tool and a resource that is available under your marketing guidelines and your marketing section. Reach out to your dedicated marketing contact to have access to these. But if you are presenting to a customer and you want it to have a sleek, sophisticated look, and you want it to be on brand with your company guidelines, I was able to work with Tiffany to get access to the template, and I created this template within the Whipfly guidelines. So that is the reason why, and because I didn't want to deal with, sometimes like the way the layouts and stuff don't always transpose over 100% between Microsoft and Apple products. And like I said, because this was a branded template from the company itself, I didn't want to be bothered with that. So they did it in, the presentation was in PowerPoint format. And so I decided to keep it in PowerPoint format so that I didn't lose any of that formatting that they did. So that was a really good question. I am not running the new Mac beta. I've actually had this issue, K-Walk, even going back to my Mac, the M1 Mini. I had that issue. That has been an issue for a while. I was in presentation mode, but remember, like you used to be able to just click on presentation, right? The display, so that your slides are full, like kind of just what you're seeing and not any of this stuff. This is the problem. You guys are seeing the slide, but hold on. I still have the whole thing. See, like I have the whole software application open. Maybe because I don't use PowerPoint enough. And yes, I'm rocking 3 displays. So that's, I know is another issue. All right, so let's go back. You guys are going to be my employees, my employees, my women of Whitfley employees that I'm presenting to. So like I said, any feedback, anything you guys want to share, critique, please let me know. Okay, good. As long as it's not just me. So, all right, so let's get into it. And so I feel weird. I feel weird introducing myself to you guys. You guys know that, but you know, I guess I'll go through the motions. Hi, everyone. And I think that, so on this part, I believe that Tiffany, who is the contact, who I've been working with, who is the employee for Whiffley, she's probably going to, start off, kick off, do the introduction again, because I am the guest, I'm the speaker, and they are the ones that is hosting they're doing the presentation for their employees. So they hired me to be that speaker. Hey girl, hey, how are you? So the presentation is around presenting yourself and your brand online, because your digital first impression is your only chance to making a lasting connection. Hey, hold on. So this will obviously be much easier once my presentation is done and transported, popped into Ecamm under PDF mode. Thanks. Shut up and do the thing. All right. Thanks. It's also like you're presenting to your friends. And so, like I'm like nervous. It's like sometimes it's harder to present to the people, in my opinion, it's harder to present to the people that you know than what it is to strangers, because you guys know me. So I'm just like, oh, whatever. All right. So you can see on the bottom down here, I know you can't read it, but on the bottom down here, I did do some notes. So normally I am going to be able to see the notes if I do come in and I come back into presentation mode and I look at it. Thank you for, let me see. This is not the one. Where do we go? Hold on. Housekeeping. Hey, where'd the presenters go? Oh, okay. I see what I did. So the housekeeping rules is making sure you have your cameras on. We are encouraging participation. And because this webinar is focused around your personal branding, around upgrading your gear, such as your audio, such as your video, such as your lighting, we want to see you guys on camera, because that's a big part of the mastery classes that we will be hosting in the future, is having a starting off point, seeing where you are starting off with, what you look like, your confidence levels. And then once we go through the exercises and we go through the mastery courses, we are going to just talk about the differences. So please have your cameras on. Please put yourselves on mute. If you want to ask questions, try to utilize the chat. There will be a Q&A section at the end of this presentation. We will be keeping an eye out on chat. And if there is something that maybe you would like to discuss with me separately or independently, I will put my contact information in the chat and you can reach out to me and we can maybe have an offline conversation to your particular scenario. A copy of today's webinar slides and a link to the recording will be sent to all of the participants afterwards. The slides are currently available in the handout section, and there will be a short evaluation available immediately after the webinar. Okay. What we're going to be going over today is, of course, I'm going to go over the introduction of myself as your speaker, as well as the webinar that we're going to be going over. And the topics that will be covered is, why do you want to upgrade your gear? Why is it important? Why are we hosting an entire webinar focused about upgrading your audio, your video, and your lighting? Once we go over the whys and we go over what it is you should be looking for when you are looking to be upgrading, we're going to be talking about some best practices for the video calls themselves, followed by thinking about the background options and your placement. Sometimes, people find themselves sitting with a window directly behind them. And that's actually, although you may think that that's really good for natural lighting, can be detrimental to your presentation. So we're going to talk about some best practices and tips for your placement and options. We're going to, at the end, talk about LinkedIn best practices, and then we will wrap up and go over a Q&A section. So I do ask that any questions or comments you have, I'll provide you with time at the end of the presentation to go over that. My name is India Delgado. I am a live video coach, a live video producer, and a content creator. I believe in your digital first impressions is your only chance to making a lasting connection. All right, so because I am full screen here, I see that it is getting cut off. The reason why I put it in presenter mode was because of the notes here. So as I'm talking, I kind of glazed over it as well. But as I'm on this slide here, talk a little bit about myself. And I don't know if I'm going to read off of it or just kind of look at the notes. But what I have written for myself is over the span of a 15-year career. And what I'll probably do is I'll have these notes here, more like in a teleprompter format, so that it looks like, if I have to glance at it instead of looking down, obviously I'm going to have it up on top behind the teleprompter so that I can make better eye contact. Over the span of my 15-year career in the banking sector, I have thrived as a top producing sales manager and mortgage loan originator. First impressions have always been at the forefront of my approach. And in a world that's been dominated by face-to-face presentations that not only dominated by face-to-face presentations, I honed my skills in curating presentations that not only captivated at the onset, but ensured successful deal closures from start to finish. But when our interactions shifted to the realm of video conferences, I was met with a fresh challenge. And standing out amongst our competition in Zoom, Google, or Teams was harder than what I expected and anticipated for it to be. It was in this digital age that I developed the concept, your digital first impression is your only chance to making a lasting impression. My determination to reinvent my online presence led me to a deep dive into research where I unearthed the tools and secrets of the digital trade. And today I'm here to share this knowledge with you to ensure that your digital introduction is unforgettable. So let's get started. Let's get on this journey and let's start mastering the art of your digital first impression together. Let me escape out of here. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Thank you. For your notes, are you using Zoom webinar so that they can add questions? So we're going to be the format that they use. Thanks, K-Walk. The format that they're using is Microsoft Teams. So, similar to Zooms and stuff like that. But it is going to be in a webinar style format so they can ask their questions in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it throughout the presentation, and then we go. Let me see. Let me just look at the other stuff for your notes. Are you using so that they can ask questions? Right. Yeah. I hope that answered your question. So this is the introduction, the webinar overview. And so this particular webinar overview is going to be broken up into 2 different sessions. It's actually 4, but depending on your role and where you work or how you work will dictate the mastery sessions. So the first session is today's session, which is presenting yourself and your brand online. It is a 1-hour session where we're going to provide a high-level overview on the subject matter content. And we're going to be discussing your best practices for video calls, a walkthrough of upgrading your equipment, your tips and tricks, and LinkedIn best practices. I'll be providing you with resources on the gear guides afterwards. So I'm not going over the gear guides today, but you'll be provided with links to download the gear guides. And that's going to be important because then the second meeting that you'll attend, should you choose to attend, are the mastery sessions. And the mastery sessions are going to be based off of you purchasing one of the prerequisites. It's based off of you purchasing the upgraded equipment, getting it set up. IT is aware. Your IT department is aware that some of the employees may be purchasing upgraded gear, so they will be on standby to help you connecting an external microphone to help getting you set up with connecting a webcam or a camera. So those are the prerequisites before you can even register for these advanced mastery classes. It's looking at the gear guides within the budgets that are provided, purchasing the equipment. Once you receive the equipment, it is getting everything connected and tested. IT is available for you. if needed, and then you can register for the advanced classes. We are hosting a class in September, in November, in October, and in November. And the dates, I have that, and I have the dedicated link for you guys that I'm going to go over at the end of the presentation itself. And the mastery class subject is depending on, like I mentioned, how you report to work. So the first one that we are doing in September is for the employees that are 100% report to work at the office. The one that we're doing in October are for the 100% remote employees, because again, how you dictate your background placement, the types of equipment that you can use, and your space is going to be different for an employee that is 100% in office versus an employee that is remote. And then the last session that we're hosting are for the employees that are our travelers, because that's a whole different beast within itself of trying to pack light. What do you bring and things like that, because you never know the environment you're going to be in. Are you going to be hosting a meeting from your hotel or from, some sort of conference room? So once you get the dates and you get the links, depending on your mode and your method to how you report to work, you can register for one of those sessions. All right. And so I'm going back and forth. Like I said, this is a super dry run through. Tomorrow I'll be spending the day. The presentation, this part is actually done. So the presentation is done. I have to do the gear guides. And the gear guides, again, I have until technically Wednesday morning to do them. The gear guides I'm going to do today because it is easy. It's going to be the same equipment altogether, right? So if we come back to the gear guides itself, once I get this format in, then it's going to be the same. It's just going to be gear guide. And what I'm probably going to do is over here, maybe bronze, and put like a bronze, a little bronze medal, right? And maybe change the color to bronze. And then under here is where I'll put the budget, the pricing from 0 to whatever that is. I got to figure it out. I got to price out the gear itself. And then once I know what the max price is, then I'm going to put that. So from, let's say 0, I'm thinking that for the bronze, it'll be from like 0 to, let's say 300-ish, because depending on the type of microphone they want, whether they want wireless mics, the Rode Wireless Me, or if they want a tabletop mic like this one, the NT-USB, or the pod mic, right? The USB pod mic. That's like $150, $170. Your lighting, another $50. They'll need a tripod for both the light as well as the phone, right? Because the phone under this bronze gear guide, they'll be using their phone as their webcam, but they'll still need to mount their phone somewhere. So the gear, the equipment itself is going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to change are the tiers. And then so from silver, let's say the bronze is from 0 to 350. So silver will be 350 to, let's say, $500, right? And so then that's when we're going to bring in a webcam, an upgraded webcam, maybe an upgraded light. And then the microphone is probably going to stay the same in the bronze tier. So whatever that looks like, because you guys know that audio comes first. And then once you get your audio down, then you can upgrade everything else. And then so that's the silver. And then within the bronze, silver, gold, within the gold, it'll be then the ZV-1F. It'll be then whatever. Then I'm going to change the microphone interface from a USB mic to providing both options. They can stick with the USB mic, and then they can also bring in something like maybe like a Streamer X or the Elgato Wave XLR, right? So that's easy. And then I'm all going to be using affiliate links. And so these are tips and tricks for you guys as well. This is really good if you do it. So here's the other thing. And I do see there's more questions, so I'm going to come to that after these two thoughts. If you do something like this, this can be a great way for you to add into your funnel as downloads, right? Where it's, download, sign up here to get a free download on a gear guide for 3 different budgets. So one of the things that I was excited about with getting this gig itself was putting the work in, but then taking this work that you guys are going to see as I go through it and repurposing the content itself. right? So then taking these gear guides that I'm doing for this company, but then I can also now put this on as a lead magnet and, offer it for free where people can then sign up and I can put them on my email list. So that's that. The equipment's going to be the same once I get it up and running, right? So what's going to take the most amount of time, I'll be honest with you, what's going to take the most amount of time is getting this template set up that you're looking at here on screen, right? So we're going to have a microphone, and then I'm just going to put a picture of whatever microphone it is for that budget, and then a link to it. The link will be an affiliate link. I also started building this out in my kit.co page. So I have a dedicated kit.co page that I did. I have a dedicated kit that I did for Whipfly for this company. And so then if people want to, they can either have the PDF, they can also go into my kit.co page. Did I sign up with Facebook? I have no idea. I did. And then what I'm also going to do on the PDF is once it's up and complete, let me see. View profile right here. So you can see here, I started to do it, right? Whipfly bronze, Whipfly silver, Whipfly gold. And I started to list everything here. And so that's like my most recent video. And then I start to list everything and they can purchase it here. And that's really cool because then it's all affiliate links. So I'm going to host it on the PDF. I'll make sure if we come back here, I'll make sure that the PDF, when they download it, they have access to it, that the PDF is downloadable with clickable links so that when I list out the microphones, they are clickable affiliate links for all three different options. And then, like I said, that's easy. What's going to take the most amount of work around the gear guide is just doing this first template. Then all I'm going to do is just duplicate it. And all I'm doing is just changing from, over here, bronze, silver, gold, changing the budget, whatever the tiers are, like I said, from $350 to let's say $750 or whatever that is, and then changing the links for the products itself. The good thing is that, like I said, the microphone, I'm probably going to keep the same. And now thinking about it, if I go back to my notes, I'm probably going to just use, so I'll definitely use, I don't want to open up Apple Music. So for the mic itself, I'll probably use, what am I doing here? What's happening? Oh, I went back. Okay, there you go. So I'll probably use the Rode PodMic USB, right? Because they can put that on a microphone tabletop stand, connected directly to their computer using USB and get really great quality with that. But then using that same microphone, if they wanted to ever upgrade and have a little bit more granular control and they wanted to have an audio interface, an XLR interface, then they can use that same microphone and then just buy the additional piece. So just trying to keep it as simple as possible, without keep it simple, stupid, kiss. So I'll probably use the Rode PodMic USB. I am going to also provide an option for wireless mics. I think I may just keep it to the Rode Wireless Me, because again, when we're thinking about budget conscious, and if these are just salespeople that are just doing like meetings one-on-one, or they're attending meetings or they're hosting meetings, they don't need the additional mic because they're not really doing hybrid meetings. They're not, or maybe if I end up doing a platinum guide, then maybe I'll add the Rode Wireless Go's or the DJI wireless mics to the platinum guide, where if they did end up hosting a meeting with another colleague, now they have two wireless mics. So that's a part of the platinum stuff. And the good thing is that they're going to get access to all of the guides. So then it's up to them to say, you know what? I like the idea of the wireless mic that's a part of the platinum, and they may buy the platinum, they may mix and match. They may buy a mic which is on the platinum guide, but then they may buy the camera, the Insta360 from the bronze guide. So just that's going to be easy of adding in the links, adding in the my affiliate links, and then I'm going to put in a QR code somewhere here, because I will briefly bring these up where they can scan it from their cell phone, and then if they want to immediately access it as well. So Okay, so let me just come back over here. Good rule of thumb I learned for presenting is to have no more than 30 words or 5 line of text. I found that visuals are better for presentations. This slide webinar overview could be made into bullet points. Thanks for that. So I don't normally read into it, and this is also a handout for them to follow up afterwards to have on their own because there is stuff, a giveaway. I just didn't want to have bullets where then, you think about that's the other point. It's if you're handing something out just with bullet points and there's not enough context, they're not going to remember what it is, right? So the one thing I don't do is that I don't read from the presentation, but I wanted to make sure that there was enough context on there that if they have this handout and they download the handout and they go back to reference it with having that context outside of the bullets, it makes sense to them. Let's see. You said your question was answered, K-Walk, so we're good, right? The affiliate links. Yep. Working this week on a freemium for the podcast for your brother. Need a lead magnet. So, simple things like that. Whether it is, you want to know want to start your own podcast, here's the gear that we use. And that can be something like that, right? Here's the equipment we use when we started our podcast and what keeps our podcast up and running, and create a guide, put it on, whatever landing page you have to collect your information, and you are good to go there. I thought about the Q2U as well as a budget option. So that's a really good point. I'll write that down because again, you can mount it, on a tabletop stand and you are good to go. And it's like $70. So all right. So there is that. Thank you very much. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to that presentation. Okay, so I was just talking about, when I was here, talking about resources are going to be provided on the gear guides for various budgets, along with a resource guide for your branding on LinkedIn. And every member that attends this webinar will have access to a free 15-minute session with me, which we can assess your current personal branding ahead of time. We can do a post-call check-in. You can discuss maybe some things that you want to work on, and then we can come up with a game plan to kind of get you there in one of the mastery sessions. So why upgrade your gear? There's a handful of reasons why you want to upgrade your gear, but the most important reason is just by upgrading your audio, your video, and your lighting, it's going to give you that enhanced professionalism and credibility, right? Having high quality audio and video immediately gives you that clout that you are a professional, that you are taking this meeting seriously, and it's going to show that you pay attention to detail. So when you start to really think about it like that, and when you start to put it into that aspect, right? If you guys are, let's say, accountants, and you are meeting a prospective client that you are looking to land, and this same client has a meeting with your competitor at 3:00, well, think about that competitor. If that competitor just comes in with on camera, with their regular laptop camera, with their regular audio, it sounds kind of tinny. It sounds kind of, the background is hard to see and things like that. And you're coming in with your upgraded audio, your upgraded video, you're coming in with great lighting so that they can focus on you. That client is going to immediately start to favor you over the competition because you are now creating a presence. You are now starting to set the stage for your personal brand and show them that you are there to take care of all of the details. All right. Good to see you too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see. I'm just going to continue. Like I said, this is a co-working session, so feel free to come in and out as you go. I was doing this on my own, and I said, let me just do this live stream while I'm here where people can help out, people can ask the questions, and we can kind of, go from there. Another reason why you would want to upgrade your gear is because you will absolutely get improved engagement, right? By upgrading your gear and having that presence and elevating your brand, It's going to keep your audience focused on the content rather than, how many times have you guys seen where you're on a webinar and the audio cuts in and out, or it sounds kind of muffled? You hear scratching, maybe. You can hear all of the noise in the background, or the video starts to cut in and out. The video stream just goes black because maybe the content, the Wi-Fi is not as strong. So really upgrading your gear and making sure that you are set in that place is going to eliminate a lot of distractions, and upgrading your gear is going to ensure that your message is delivered seamlessly, and it's going to increase those chances of the engagement from your audience, from your viewers and your potential clients. It's going to give you versatility and adaptability. So in our webinar, we're obviously covering the varying equipment options, which are suitable for all the different budgets, but it's also going to help provide you a tailored solution that is going to really put you in a place with those high stakes clients to casual team check-ins, right? So whether you are an internal employee, that your meetings are with internal customers, right? Those are more casual team check-ins. But you guys know when you attend meetings that are not engaging, the visuals are not there, the presentation materials are not there, even when it's just a meeting with you and your team, you check out, right? So even if you're not in a position that you're meeting with external clients, and you're not meeting with, let's say, potential sales relationships and things like that, and you are in a position that it is just for team check-ins, you 100% should still consider upgrading your gear and your equipment, because you never know where you may land up in the future as well in your career, where you end up needing to meet with a potential client. Or even think about if you're looking for an interview, right? If you're looking for an interview to further advance in your career in the company, this is one of the biggest reasons why you would want to make sure you have upgraded quality gear, because now you're standing out amongst your competition, which are your colleagues within the company. So that should be a huge one on everyone's lists. And then again, you're maximizing the impact of your online personal brand, right? So when we get into the section of your LinkedIn best practices and your personal branding, having that right audio and video setup is just going to make sure that your digital presence, your digital first impression, and whatever video content or online posts that you are sharing is of the highest standard, which is going to then reinforce your reputation. So those are some really good reasons why, you should upgrade your gear. And I'm hoping that after today, you go ahead, you take a look at what the budgets are, and you take advantage of that. And I hope to see you in the mastery classes in the future. So I've kind of alluded to it already. What is the gear exactly that you should be upgrading, and in what order? So here are some visuals. The gear that you are looking to upgrade that's going to make a biggest impact on your personal branding is your audio. And by audio, we're talking about having some sort of external microphone. So moving away from the built-in microphone that's on your laptop, moving away from the built-in mic that's on your cell phone if you end up dialing calls from your cell phone or from your tablet or something like that, and getting an external mic. Also thinking about headphones. Now, I do have these bigger headphones on, but when I am having meetings with potential business clients, I normally have these internal headphones and I wrap them behind my back, and you wouldn't even know that I have headphones on. So you want to make sure that you upgrade your headphones, because you want to be able to hear everything that the people you're meeting with are saying, and then your audio quality. What I'm currently using is on the higher end of the budget. You can get something small like these devices here. These are wireless microphones. And so you can either clip them on directly to your shirt, kind of like this, or you can get a lapel and you can clip it onto your shirt with a lapel mic where it's not visible, but it's still going to give you much better quality audio. Something like these plug into your computer directly. You can see here, she has like a tabletop stand. Here's another example of a tabletop microphone. So this is a Rode device, and this microphone here comes with its own stand. You'll put it on your desk, kind of like so, and then you just set the volume level that to make sure that you're heard properly, and that's going to give you an immediate boost and an immediate upgrade. Then the second thing that we would recommend, or that I recommend you working on, is your video. So depending on the budget that you are, what is going on? Thank you for coming through. I'm doing a test run. So I have this webinar that I'm doing on Wednesday. And so I'm just prepping for it. I did the presentation, and this is like my first dry run of looking at the content and thinking about how I'm going to be presenting it to the group that I'm presenting to. So any feedback, anything you want to provide, let me know. Okay, so going back to video. So you want to, when you're thinking about your video, that is going from the laptop's webcam, or if you are, again, if you're using a tablet, if you're using your cell phone to dial in, usually you're using the front camera. And the front camera, I will say, if you're using a tablet and a cell phone, the front camera is going to be better than what's on your laptop, hands down. But we can take it a step further. So again, depending on what the budget is, if you are on the bronze tier of the budget, I would recommend using your cell phone. And instead of using the front camera, we're going to get you set up in a way that you're going to use the rear facing camera. So, this requires then for you to have either be logged into your computer and using your cell phone as the back for your camera, but that's going to change the game completely. If you are willing to invest and you do have the budget to go a step up, then we'll do something like an external camera. And again, all of these recommendations that I'm providing to you are listed in the gear guides that you'll have access to download, and they all have direct links for you to purchase. So you can purchase an external webcam, something like the Insta360, which provides 4K video, really great. And it has a great feature where it's AI. So if you are conducting a meeting where you're moving, you can place the Insta360 somewhere on a tripod, and you can tell it to follow you, and it's going to follow you. So that's a great recommendation. And then the top of the line Premiere is kind of like the setup that I'm using is an external camera, whether it's a mirrorless camera, and I actually have the top, which is a mirrorless camera and an external lens. And that's how it kind of, you can see if you look at my background, it kind of gives that separation between my background, where my background's a little bit blurrier and it just focuses on me. So that is the top tier. But any one of the options that we just went over are going to be blown away when you go from using the built-in webcam to now some sort of external video. And then lastly is upgrading your lighting, right? So usually you're hosting meetings during the day, and you can kind of get away with, if I come over here and I bring in my overhead lights, as long as you have a good amount of overhead lights and you're not facing a window, you want to make sure that you have enough light on you, you should be good to go. But you really, when you get to that level, you want to purchase an external dedicated light. We call that a key light, where it's going to be facing just you. So you can see here, if I turn off my background lights, I still have lighting on me. I'm still lit. I'm still in focus. And what that does is that with upgrading your camera, with upgrading your video, having really great light set on you is going to let your camera do its job to the best of its capabilities, because cameras feed off of light. So the better the subject, which is you're lit, the better the subject that is lit, the better the image your camera is going to provide. And that's even talking about using your cell phone, right? If you guys ever notice taking a picture inside on your cell phone versus taking a picture on a nice sunny day, those pictures outside on nice sunny days are always going to provide much better quality images than taking a picture when you're inside at a restaurant and the lighting is horrible. So again, just going over, recapping the gear that you want to upgrade in my recommended order is upgrading your audio, because you guys know how many times are you on calls that maybe you're not in a place that you can have your camera turned on. If you are in a place that in a situation that you can't have your camera turned on, you absolutely then need to rely on really good quality audio. And that's why I would say, let's focus on upgrading to an external microphone, getting your audio dialed in. Once you're good there, then we're going to talk about upgrading to a higher quality video feed, a video camera, and then tying that in with some sort of lighting. And the lighting can be as simple as a ring light. It can be as simple as a small cube light like this. any sort of light that you can add in is just going to boost your image. And then you can kind of go up in the tiers, as you will see in the gear guides themselves. So now we've talked about what the gear is that you should upgrade and why you should upgrade the gear. Well, now that you have your gear, what are the best practices, right, for getting ready for these video calls that you will be on? And so I'm not going to read over everything here. You will be provided with the presentation itself for you to have. But first things first is that physical presentation. And sometimes, I kind of struggle with going over what's obvious. But for me, one of the things that I've learned in my career is sometimes it's just better to over communicate, because you may think that someone knows, or you may think that that's common sense. And I've learned that common sense is not all that common. So instead of to make an assumption and think that people know, I figured I would put it on here, have it, we can go over it briefly, and then you guys will go over the details on your own when you have the handout. So just going back to our physical presentation, you want to make sure that you are maintaining eye contact, that you do have a good posture, and then really being mindful of the dress code, right? So one of the things that we kind of got lucky with these video calls is that you really can't see us from the bottom down. So as long as you have on a nice top, your hair is done right from your head down to kind of your torso area, as long as you're within the company dress code, you're good. Just don't stand up. But being mindful of that, being mindful of who is it that you are having a video call with? Are you having a video call with internal employees? Is it a casual business meeting that you're hosting a call with, right? Your teammates? Because with your teammates, you may be able to be a little bit more dressed down versus if you are hosting a meeting with a potential client that you're trying to land. Again, having that mentality where if you have a potential client, a meeting with them at 11 o'clock in the morning, they may be meeting with your competitor at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So being mindful of that dress code, dress for the type of meeting that you have, is going to be crucial to your success. Going back now to the eye contact. So I don't know if it's been drawn to your attention already. I have maintained eye contact throughout this presentation, and you can do that a handful of ways. Again, with my particular setup, I am on the higher tier, on the platinum setup. So what I'm using in particular to maintain that eye contact is that I actually use a teleprompter. And so within the teleprompter, my monitor is reflected onto the image, so I can see what I'm presenting. I can see you guys as the participants. But then, because of the way the teleprompter works, my camera lens is behind the glass. So I'm actually looking at the computer screen. I'm looking at the content. I'm looking at you guys that are participating in the meetings, but I'm maintaining eye contact with that camera lens the whole time. And what that does is if I were to move my presentation, right? If I were to move the presentation from here to, let's say, here, and now I'm reading from the presentation here, and I kind of it's obvious that I'm not looking at the screen, and it's just going to be so much easier to become disengaged and to have the people that you're meeting with just lose all type of interest. I'm a big believer in investing in a teleprompter and getting that up and running, because it is a game changer when you are presenting. If you don't want to present, if you don't want to invest in a teleprompter, then the next best thing would be really being mindful of where you place your camera. So if you know, let's say like my main monitor is here, and if you know that you're always going to be using a monitor here, what I would suggest doing is just placing the camera right above the monitor. Similar to like when we do think about, although I don't want you to use the webcam that's built into your laptop, but when you think about the placement of the webcam, when we think about the placement of the built-in cameras on our cell phones, it's at the top front of the screen. It's in the middle, right? So that when you're looking at the screen and you're looking at the other person that you may be on FaceTime with, or when you're looking on that web call on your laptop, you're looking towards that area, that vicinity. So if you aren't going to get a teleprompter, that's okay. It's then the next thing what you want to do is really looking at the placement of trying to keep that camera kind of in the center of where you'll be spending most of your time looking at the screen. And so that you can easily kind of just maybe move your eyes down to look at the content and then look up, right? Just kind of those brief things there, but also don't do it in a way that you're tilting your head down. Keep it your camera in a way that it is, you can keep your head neutral. You can keep, and that goes into the second point, which is your posture, right? So keeping your head neutral, keeping your back straight is also going to help you with your confidence. The biggest recommendation when you are hosting webinars or when you are hosting calls is if you can stand. So if you have a stand desk, that's the best move to go, because when you are ready to be on camera, planting your feet and having your feet shoulder width apart, and really just having a straight, tall back is going to really give you that confidence that you need to be on camera. Instead of kind of being comfortable in your chair, you can kind of lean back, you can kind of swing back and forth. Those are the things that you want to avoid. So you want to make sure that you do have a straight back, if at all, again, with a stand desk, or if you can put your camera set up and your laptop set up where you are able to stand for those meetings, I would 100% recommend. So that's for your physical presentation. Making sure, this is a huge one. And again, it's kind of one of those things that common sense isn't common, but testing and optimizing your equipment. And I would recommend you do that every single time you are getting ready to attend a meeting, especially with clients. So that's, Michael, I agree with you on that. I did think about separating this stuff where maybe I put, instead of having 4 on one page, maybe doing 2 on one page. And so like taking one of the longer columns, right? Taking one of this more columns and maybe a smaller column here and putting it, and then doing a second slide to kind of separate it out. So I do, or each step on a different slide. I agree with that, because then, and that might be a better idea, because then maybe if we're talking about, I can then do some visuals, right? So if we're talking about the physical presentation, just having someone, a business person who's sitting up straight at a desk looking directly at a computer, so that under physical presentation, I can have these bullets here, and then I can have kind of, that image. And then the same thing with a distraction-free zone. So I thought about it, but good. Thank you. So I'll probably then do that. I'll tidy that up. And that's why I didn't do it to PDF just yet, because I knew I was going to still make some changes. So let me go back to my notes. Thank you for that. And that's slide number 8. What did I do here? Okay. Slide number 8. Do one slide for each best practice with an image for each of the topics, I guess. Okay. All right. So let's go back here. Okay. So just going back, making sure that you're testing and optimizing your equipment. I've done both on both ends, right? Sometimes you get overly confident, and technology is not reliable. You guys all know that. So even if it's like you can have the best computer, you can be the most well-versed in Microsoft Teams or however you're hosting the meeting, you always want to make sure that you are checking that your audio is coming through on a microphone, right? So one of the things that I do, a good best practice in this particular area, is that when I get onto these types of meetings, whether it's on Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet, you can always go into the settings or the preferences section, and you can record, you can talk into your mic, and usually the software will give you a visual of the meters showing that it is receiving your video, your audio. And then you can even, like I know for a fact in Zoom, you can go in and you can record an audio sample and hear it back on your headphones. And that is the best way to test your audio, to test your microphone, make sure your computer hears it, make sure that Microsoft Teams hears it and there's no adjustments that need to be made. The same thing with your video, going into those settings and looking at the camera settings, making sure, especially now that you're going to be upgrading your camera, you want to make sure that this software platform that you're using is going to go into the correct camera, because now your computer is going to see two different cameras. Your computer is going to see the built-in webcam, and then it's going to see whatever upgraded camera you ended up getting. So you always want to make sure that you're testing and you're optimizing, and that the software that you're using is choosing the right equipment that you want to use for that meeting. Making sure that your lighting is adjusted, right? So making sure that it's not too strong, so that it's not too harsh. Again, being mindful of, any natural lighting that's coming in. And if at all possible, let me see. So it's not so this is something that I'm doing for a company, an accounting firm that I'm presenting to. They hired me to be like a speaker to their employees. I can put it up if this is something you guys want. I would just have to change, obviously, the format. I can duplicate the presentation. Can I make this a little bit bigger here? I'll make it a little bit bigger. Let me see. But I can't move it over. Let me see. Can we go like this? Yeah, so, and this is really only this slide here where I have it a little bit smaller. No, you're all good. But I appreciate it. I will say that I did do a test. So, it's funny, we're talking about testing and optimizing equipment. I did do a test run with my contact who hired me to do this presentation. And I did pull up the presentation and she was able to read it all on her end. So that was a good thing. And it's also like with the placement, with how I have this particular scene, normally what I'm going to do is that obviously I'm not going to have a background. This presentation is going to take up the whole slide, and I'll probably make myself a small circle in the corner. So then it's also going to take up more of the screen as well. So probably what it is, Michael, is that if he said he's walking and texting, he's probably on his cell phone and you're probably at your studio. So you can see it much better, obviously, on a regular monitor. So, but that's good feedback to hear from the both of you guys, because then that's one thing to note. If you know how it is, you're presenting to people and they're like, I can't see. And it's like, well, are you looking on your cell phone? Because I can't, of course it's going to be super small. Anyway. Okay. So just going back to the testing and optimizing section. If at all possible, always, again, especially when you are having a high stakes meeting, whether it is with a higher executive from within your company, if you're doing a presentation to a list of higher ups, or you're having a huge important meeting internally, or with a higher stakes in a client you're trying to land, I always hands down say that every time possible, connect hardwired, connect through Ethernet. Because one of the things with connecting Wi-Fi that a lot of people don't know, the real reason why sometimes you'll see somebody's camera image come in and out, you'll see why someone gets pixelated, is because Wi-Fi is actually kind of unsteady. Wi-Fi comes in to your computer in waves. If someone starts using Wi-Fi in your house somewhere else, if let's say there's an app in the background that's syncing that you don't know, that starts pulling the Wi-Fi, and now your computer is fighting on where to spread the Wi-Fi for. So that's kind of why you sometimes will have inconsistent internet connections. And so by connecting through Ethernet, connecting hardwired, that's going to help give you a steady, smooth connection, a stable connection. And that's going to minimize those pictures coming in and out, your camera image getting cut in and out. So I know that not everyone has access to Wi-Fi where they are, or if you are working internally, usually you can't connect your computer outside, but that's just something to think about. That is a huge best practice. My computer are always, whenever I do a live stream or whenever I do webinars like this, I always connect Ethernet. I even take it a step further and I open up a speed test and I check to see what my internet is giving me that day, because sometimes you may need to do a restart, right? So really, again, going into that testing and optimizing your equipment. And now, Michael, going back to your point, even just seeing how many points that I am going into, I think it makes even more sense to make each of the blue topics its own slide. So then what I can do is I can do like a main page like this. Obviously, it's not going to be blue, but I can do a main page like this that I can say best practices for video calls, right? And so it'll be one made slide. So kind of like, oh, now we're going into a whole different chapter per se. That's the name of the chapter. And then it'll be, so instead of having this on the side, it'll be physical for this one slide. It'll be physical presentation matters. So then this section here would be, I would replace this with the topic of this section and then just have the bullets on that page. And then, like I said, a quick image. And so then it'll be 4 different pages and then kind of a slide like this to just, give that introduction of that's what we're talking about. So this is why I wanted to do the run through to kind of see, if it made sense for me and how I like it. Okay, so that's the testing and optimizing your equipment. Establishing a distraction-free zone. So these best practices, I'll be honest with you, I think that some of these best practices are even when you're not on video calls. Back when I was a branch manager and, I had a team of employees that I worked with, or again, even when you're meeting with a customer, these distraction-free zone tips should be applied whether you are on a video call or whether you are meeting with someone, right? So, one of the things whenever I had an employee come in to the office with me, whether they wanted to talk to me or whether I wanted to talk to them, was I did literally everything here. I took my phone, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I took it a step further. I would take my phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, and then I would lay my phone face down on the table because the last thing I want is to have that distraction of looking over. Mike, you guys are funny. I wish I could have joined the webinar. You guys are the best. Thanks. And then each should be its own slide. So thank you for reinforcing that. I'll work on that later on today. And like I said, maybe I can do this and then just do, host. That can be a webinar that I actually host once I tidy everything up. The more practice you get, the better. So, okay, so let me go back into this. So one of the best practices that I had whenever I met with people, again, whether it is on a video call or in person, was putting my phone on Do Not Disturb and then taking it a step further and literally flipping over any of my devices so that I am not tempted to look over, see something on the screen, and want to pick up the phone, right? Whether you're meeting with an internal customer, a colleague of yours, or you're meeting with an external customer, that is going to sour any sort of personal branding and digital first impression or digital impression that you can leave on these, these people that you're meeting with. So 100% focus mode, Do Not Disturb, flipping your device over so that you're not able to take a look at the screen. Then tying it in. Okay, so now another point, what I'm going to do is, because with the way I'm presenting it, I'm actually going to rearrange this. So Control C, enter, Control V, delete, because so that's another reason, like even with doing these webinars, it's important to go through and do a run through, right? Because you want to make sure that as you speak, it flows together with your examples. So for me, then my next example is I would take it a step further and I also would turn my monitor off altogether. Especially, this is again, whether you are presenting, you're having a video conference meeting or you're having an in-person meeting. If you're sitting at a desk and you have Outlook open and an email comes up or your instant messenger comes up, it's so easy to think that in the moment, that email that you may see from your manager, that email you may see from that customer that you've been trying to land finally reaches out to you. And it's human nature to want to say, hold on one second, let me take a look at this, or hold on one second, let me respond, or even worse, not ask for the minute and immediately start typing or immediately change your eye contact from this person to now looking directly at the screen. Whatever it is you were trying to foster and nurture with this person that you're meeting with, whether in person or digitally, you're done. So focus mode, turning your screen off so that you are eliminating as many distractions. And then kind of tied into that, the closing the apps, you may not necessarily, if you did the first two, closing apps don't apply. But if you absolutely don't want to turn your screen off, then again, closing any apps so that, and this is more so when you are doing those video presentations, those video meetings, closing any apps except for, let's say, Microsoft Teams. And if you are having a PowerPoint presentation up on the screen, everything else should be turned off, because that's also going to help only point your computer's resources directly to those apps. You won't lag. Your internet connection won't be pulled into different ways. So making sure that you don't have anything else running in the background. And then lastly, kind of, like with what I talked about with your eye contact under physical presentation, it's maintaining that visual engagement. Not just about the eye contact, but also body language itself, right? I can't tell you the amount of times that I've presented to people. I'll be honest with you. The very first time home buyer seminar I did on Zoom when the pandemic kind of was underway, no one had their cameras on. And then the people who did have their cameras on looked like they were asleep, right? That just threw me off altogether. So just making sure that if your customer is speaking or the person that you're meeting with, they're the ones that now has the stage and they're communicating with you, looking at them, nodding your head, right? Giving them these visual cues that you are listening, that you're understanding what they're saying. And then in retrospect, that also helps to understand if maybe you're confused and you're conveying it that way, that could help eliminate some miscommunication too. So making sure that you are nodding, you are, have those relevant reactions, whether it's a smile, a laugh, whether, something to that extent. You can see that I am visual with my hands, making sure that if you are a person that uses your hands to express yourself, making sure that you're not like all over the place and you're not, moving and distracting, but doing it in a way where you are showing that you're engaged and you're being attentive, but that it's not distracting either. And tying it all in, we have talked about upgrading your gear. We've talked about the best practices once you are, you have your gear up, ready to go, is really, okay, so now that I'm actually going over this, I think I need to rearrange. So what I need to do is I actually have to rearrange this. So we're going to go from, why do you want to upgrade your gear? What's the gear you're going to upgrade? And then we're going to talk about your background options and your placement, right? Because you've purchased your gear, it's been shipped to you, you've connected all of the upgraded gear. The next step after that is considering your background options and your placement, right? So placing your camera. Placing your camera, placing your lighting, where are you going to sit? What are you going to have in the background? So, okay, so I'm glad I went over that. And then now once we figured out our background options and placement, then we have the best practices, because now we're actually ready to jump on the video call itself. Okay, good. Glad I went through that. And so just with this particular slide, it's, your background options. So making sure that you are in a place, again, you want to make sure that whoever it is you're meeting with, they're not distracted by what you have going on outside of you. If you are meeting with internal customers, with external customers, you want to make sure that you are the subject that they're focused on and there aren't anything happening in the background. Unfortunately, even if you're in an office, you may be sharing an office, there may be people that are walking behind you. So you want to be mindful of that. So if you're in an office space, can you sit directly in front of a wall that no one's going to pass behind you and not facing it towards the door? Same thing if you are working remotely, being mindful of that. You may not have a dedicated office space and you may share, the kitchen, or you may have a meeting, your video conference in the living room. You can still do things where if you're in the kitchen, don't have the camera, don't sit directly in front of the doorway, because if people need to come in and out, You need to be mindful of that. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've gotten on calls with my peers and they're taking, and it's an internal call, so it is a little bit more casual, but they're in the kitchen and their husband or their wife is coming back and forth, and it creates a distraction, and I lose that person who's walking behind someone else who's on camera, and that person may not even be speaking, but just that whole act distracted me from what the actual presenter was saying, right? So being mindful of where you sit and where when the camera's looking at you, obviously the camera's looking at you, but the camera's also looking at what's happening behind you. With that being said, if you do have the choice where, let's say you have a dedicated office, whether it is internally or whether it is remote, let me just come back over here. Having your props per se, or conversation starters, conversation sparkers, we can call it, is important. One of the things that I get, outside of how the background, how my image quality actually looks, is that people love this baggage sign, right? They love what it is. And it helps to kind of break the ice. It helps to break up the monotony. Even some of my signs here, if I change, if I bring my lighting up, let's just change some of the lights so you can see, right? Some of the signs, depending on what you're looking at, really will help create that, open those steps to have that more conversation, that more free-flowing conversation with people, with just breaking the ice like that. So if you have a diploma that you want to place behind you, again, plants are always a good thing. It's just something that's visually appealing. My dog, when she's behaving, people love to see the dog. It gets people smiling. And if you can get people smiling and interested, it kind of breaks down that initial layer of people being uncomfortable with being on camera, people being uncomfortable with meeting others, right? So being mindful of what can you have, what do you have, and how can you create your background and your placement. Let me just come back over here. Your background and your placement, so that not only does it look professional, but that it's also eye-catching to really get the person that you're meeting with engaged and increasing that flow, right? So placement of lighting, making sure one of the things that a lot of people do with windows is they have the idea and they understand the concept that natural lighting is the best lighting. It is free lighting. But what they do is sometimes they'll sit and the window is somewhere behind them. But what that does is that when you have lighting behind you, it actually makes you a shadow. So your camera is going to fight. Remember what I talked about earlier. Cameras love lights. The cameras will perform better. But how that works is that they're focusing where the light is. So if you have a light behind you, they're going to focus to what is being lit up behind you, and it's going to make you dark. That's just camera science in and of itself. So if you can sit in front of the window, where now the window is shedding that natural light on you, that's going to be optimal. Going back to camera framing, if I come back, to my full frame over here, coming back, you want to try to be as centered as possible, unless you are physically presenting with physical props. Then at that point, then you may need to move over a little bit and use your visuals, right? So whatever it is, if you're going to be, presenting here, or if you have something like a whiteboard, if you're in an office that you're presenting with physical props, other than that, you want to try to make sure that you are centered and focused. You don't want to have too much headroom, right? So you can see if I sit back, and this is how I normally sit, I have a little bit of headroom, but my head is not cut off. And I also don't have this much headroom, right? Because then that proportion, looking at this, and there's lots of people that, they'll have it and just have all of this headroom, and it just throws off your image. You're seeing too much of my background, so now you're distracted and you're looking at all of that stuff. So you want to place your camera as well as your chair. Come back over here. You want to place it in a way where optimally there is like kind of, this much room between the top of your head and the top of the camera. Very minimal headspace. And again, you want to make sure that you are centered. We talked about props. So you can see here, I have my own fake plant. She has a fake, it can be a real plant, but I'm in a basement, so I don't have any natural lighting, so I can't have real plants, they'll die. But just some plants to kind of just give that visual uplift. You can see she has a bookcase. Her bookcase is empty. So I wouldn't have that many bookcases if I'm not going to fill it with bookcases. And it doesn't. So it's so funny looking at this particular picture. Look at the top of this bookcase. It's all empty shelves. She can easily fill that up with a picture, with a vase, with, very small, inexpensive things. Just filling it up with things is going to be much better than having empty, shelves there. Obviously, a handful of books. If you want to, another thing to be mindful of, if you do want pictures, some people and some company guidelines don't want pictures of families or anything like that. Or if you're going to have a picture of your family, making sure that that picture is also appropriate. Again, I have a lot of signage in my background, but the language is all very motivating, very inspiring language. There's nothing that's inappropriate. That I actually have a poster on my left-hand side that you guys can't see, that it is a little bit more New York style, and the language wouldn't be appropriate for a customer to see. It is a motivating poster for me, but there is some language on here that I would not feel comfortable. And so that's why when I placed that frame on my left-hand side, I knew that it was going to be completely out of the frame on the camera. And then also just making sure that if you are going to be using any background filters, let's say, Whitfly has provided their own company background filters with the company logo that you can upload into Teams. If you're going to be doing that, right? Because let's say you don't have a good background, just again, making sure that you are using the proper lighting and trying, when you use background filters, you can't move too much, because then when if you're an animated person like me, usually using background filters are not good, because that's when you start to see the shapes and all of that stuff, and it kind of throws it off. But sometimes that may be your only option of using a background filter because you don't have a dedicated space of having a clean background. So that is that. Okay, so we talked about that. I moved that around. And we are coming up towards the end of the presentation. And the last thing that I really we wanted to spend a little bit of time on is just making sure that you are visiting or revisiting your LinkedIn profile. I would recommend visiting your LinkedIn profile once a quarter, so once every 3 months, and just using these items as a checklist, right? So your profile picture, your headshot, is it a professional headshot? Is it representative of, who you are in the company? Is this something that you're professional? Because LinkedIn is for professional contacts. So is this something? Hey, Ken, how are you? Thanks for coming through. Is your profile picture something that you are okay with your professional contacts seeing? With that being said, making sure that the headline that you have about yourself is also updated, because a headline that you may have done 5 or 6 years ago, 2 years ago, may not be relevant to what is happening in today's climate, where you are in the business, where your business is. So that's why I think a really good rule of thumb and a really good practice is to visit your LinkedIn profile at least once a quarter and just giving it a high level overview. With your banner and your background photo, you can change those. Whitfly does provide you with these 2 banners here. So if I take a look, this one actually has a white background. So because this slide is white, you can't see it. But if you were to put this on LinkedIn, you have these 2 here that are approved, that are company given. And again, you can reach out to your marketing contact and you can have access to that. Looking at your connections, maybe not once a quarter, but I would absolutely try to make a habit of doing this twice a year. And sometimes you have to kind of go through and filter those connections. If you created your LinkedIn profile years ago and you've changed careers, you may be limiting yourself with the amount of connections that you have. Because remember, when you're posting on LinkedIn, you're posting through a feed. And so if your connections are not relevant to where you are in your career right now, you may be reaching people that can't necessarily help you or that you can't necessarily do business with, right? And again, remember, LinkedIn is about those professional contacts, professional networking, potential business that you will be either working with someone, connecting with someone, business referrals. And so if your connections are outdated, if you have thousands of connections, it could be good and bad. It just depends on where you are in your journey, where you are in your career. So, for instance, years ago, back when they were still open, I worked for Radio Shack. If all of my connections now are still all of those old connections in Radio Shack, and they aren't really relevant to the industry that I'm currently working in now as an entrepreneur, as a content creator, as a live video coach, I may be posting content, but the audience that I'm reaching isn't going to help me. So going in and unfortunately connecting with those people, removing connections, looking for new connections, that's going to be really helpful with having a good LinkedIn profile, a healthy LinkedIn profile, and a LinkedIn profile that will work the way it's intended to, with creating those networks and those connections to help you elevate your brand. Posting and reposting, right? So your company, the marketing department, the social media department, they have their posts. So of course, if you are on LinkedIn and you want to support the company, that's always one of the best things to do. Really looking at what the company is posting and reposting their content. You also want to be posting content. So one of the things that when I was a loan officer, I would do is, I would get mortgage industry news. I would take that link and I would share it on LinkedIn, and I would share what my ideas maybe were, what my thoughts were about what's happening in the industry. I worked with a lot of first-time home buyers. I worked with a lot of local nonprofit housing agencies. So maybe collaborating, right? An idea was to collaborate with a local nonprofit or reposting their things, really being intentional about the reposting and making sure that you're putting yourself out there, because going back to, it's a feed. You have your audience, you have your connections. If you are reposting items or if you are creating posts, that's going to put your profile in front of people and in front of those people's connections. Because if one of your connections ends up reposting that, sharing it, liking it, that information is going to show up on their feed. And that's how you can really grow within the network that you are looking to grow within now. Asking for recommendations and endorsements. So of course, looking within your company and reaching out and asking them to endorse your skills. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure that you have your skills up to date of whatever it is you do, whether it's accounting, customer service, leadership, engineering, whatever that is, project management. So making sure that on your profile, you've updated your skills. And then once you've gone in and updated your skills, going to your mentors, going to your sponsors, going to customers that you have really good relationships with and asking them to write a recommendation for you, or asking them to endorse the skills that you have on your profile will help give you that validity, will help you create your presence and elevate your brand on LinkedIn. And then making sure that you're turning on creator mode. With LinkedIn, there is an option on creator mode that will help give you additional tools where you can now create a newsletter, where you can actually, once you have a certain amount of followers, you can actually go live and do, a live video post if that's something that you can do and you want to do. So turning on creator mode is another really cool step that just opens up additional tools there. And that is LinkedIn in a nutshell. So we have pretty much wrapped up the webinar. As I mentioned in the beginning, let me take a look here. So I struggled with these two with either putting the recap here at the end, because that is the end of the conversation. So I struggled with initially putting the recap after the LinkedIn, and then going here. Hey girl, hey, how are you? How long have you been creeping for? This is a presentation that I have on Wednesday with anyway, I'll talk to you on Slack about that. So yeah, what I was saying was, so this webinar that I did is the high level overview of, presenting your brand online. Then what we did is that there are 3 additional follow-up sessions depending on how the employee reports to work. So if they are a 100% in-office employee, then we're doing a mastery session that's going to be tailored for employees that work in the office on October 25th. For employees that are remote, we're doing the tailored mastery session on November 15th. And then for the employees that are like the travelers, the on the road employees, so they actually go on site, they meet clients and things like that. We're hosting that presentation on the 13th. So I was struggling with, initially I had that slide directly after the LinkedIn slide. But now going into it, I think what I should do is, because this is the end of the presentation, I think I should just keep the recap here. And then what I will do is, I think, let me Control C, I'll make this last bullet the advanced class requirements. So upgrading your gear, we went over upgrading your gear. Best practices for video calls. LinkedIn, best practices. And then okay, that makes more sense. No, wait, here, Control C. And then background placement and options. Okay, so I will do the LinkedIn best practices. Then when we're done and say, okay, well, that is our webinar today. I have to write down the name so I don't mix it up. Presenting yourself and your brand online. That is the wrap. That is our presenting yourself and your brand online webinar. I hope that you'd enjoyed it. What we are looking for, what we talked about today, was really upgrading your gear, the whys of what you should upgrade, why you should upgrade your gear, what gear you should upgrade. We talked about best practices for video calls, and I actually have to move that around. So thanks, Ken. I appreciate you. I was just wrapping up. Really, it was more working, and I was using you guys to help me out. So, and to give me some feedback on what you thought. Okay, there you go. And what I think I'll do is the post-webinar survey, I'm going to swap this. So can I just move this down here? And then we can move everything up. There you go. Okay. I know I have to fix the alignment. All right, I'll fix the alignment, and then this I have to move over. There you go. Okay. that is what we have for today's webinar on presenting yourself and your brand online. Just to recap what we talked about why you should upgrade your gear and the gear in the order as well that you should be upgrading. Once you've gotten your upgraded gear, we reviewed some background options and placement of just being mindful of your lighting, being mindful of the background itself, the environment itself, as well as placement of your camera and the framing. We reviewed some best practices while you are on video call to really make sure that you are engaging with your participants and your viewers. And we wrapped it up with LinkedIn best practices. So now the next steps is that you will be receiving a post-webinar survey so that you can provide any feedback on the webinar today. If you found it helpful, if there were things maybe I didn't spend enough time on, or if there were things that I spent too much time on, I would absolutely love to hear about what you thought. Is this something you would like us to go into again later on in the year? So any feedback that you can provide will be great. And as mentioned, the next steps or the next classes that are going to be hosted are mastery classes, audio and video mastery classes. And with the audio and video mastery classes, as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, is dependent on your role and how you report to work. So if you are in office, that's the first session that we're going to be doing, the first mastery session that we're going to be doing, and that is going to be on Wednesday, October 25th. If you are a remote employee, that session for remote employees is on November 15th. And if you are a hybrid on-the-road traveler employee, we are bringing you the session on December 13th. This is the link here. I will put the link in the chat. This is an internal link so you can register. Now, some of the prerequisites, I have some notes here. So the prerequisites in order for you to attend the class, and even before you click on the link, is taking a look at the gear guides and purchasing the equipment that falls within your budget, making sure that you receive the equipment and the equipment is connected and up and running. And like I mentioned, IT will be available to you to support you with the connections to make sure that everything is good to go with your office setup, whether you have a laptop or whether you have a desktop. So that is one of the prerequisites, making sure that you purchase the gear, and then once you've purchased the gear, that you have it connected and it is working. So if you purchase an external microphone, that you connect it to your computer and the microphone is up and running. The same thing with a camera, and then just, plugging in the light with a light stand and things like that. So those are your prerequisites. We are limiting, because this is more of an advanced mastery class, we are limiting the amount of participants to about 10 to 15 individuals max. Now, I don't want you to get discouraged because I've already spoken with Tiffany and the team. And if we have a huge interest in these classes, Tiffany and I will work together to host secondary courses. So if there is a huge amount of employees that sign up for the in-office position, and you don't have a spot or the spots are filled before the October 25th, don't worry about it. Make sure that you stay in touch with us because we will then work collaboratively to add more dates to the calendar. With that being said, the reason why we are limiting this is because I want to make sure that I am able to work with everyone on a more close-knit environment where you can ask your questions. So it is a little bit more of a safe environment. You can come on camera. We can make sure that your placement is fine, and we can have more of a cohort working session. And when we start to have it there's too many people, it just is going to take up too much time, and we can't spend the details that we want to into it. So that is the reason why we are limiting the spaces. And with that being said, thank you so much for attending. And I see you guys. I saw that Kim came through. What is cracking? How are you? What's popping? And I see my boy Coffee Talking Tech. What's good? How are you doing? Thank you for joining. I think this is the first time I've seen you on one of my streams. So thanks. You get all the stuff. No math involved. I know you guys came a little bit late. I have a big webinar that I am presenting to this particular company. It's a huge accounting firm, Whitfley. They hired me to be a presenter to their employee resource group on presenting your brand and your, I keep saying I got to memorize this, presenting yourself and your brand online. And so, doing what we do as content creators with understanding how you present your brand, upgrading your gear, your audio, your video, your lighting. And so that's on Wednesday afternoon, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard. This was the presentation that I did. I did the presentation first. And today I just figured I'd use you guys, my community, as a dry run through of the actual presentation. So doing that helped me to reorder some of the slides, helped me to really kind of validate the thoughts of how I was going to present it to the audience and the viewers, and just feel more comfortable. So tomorrow I'll spend more time doing that run through again. I did make some notes on things that I need to change around. And that's that. So that's where you guys came in too. So let me go back to presenting. Thank you so much for attending. One of the things that I thought was super cool with this template and with the company's mantra and the company's motto is that perspective changes everything. And how fitting was that when we're talking about your digital first impression, creating a lasting connection? How fitting is that when we're talking about presenting yourself and your brand online? That's perspective, right? What does that look like to other people? How do you change the perspective to a potential client, to your internal customers, your external customers, and how do you set yourselves apart from your competition? Well, definitely by elevating your personal brand. As I mentioned, my name is India Delgado. I am a live video coach, producer, and content creator. You can visit my website at www.indiad.live. You can reach out to me via email at india@idelgadoproductions.com. My phone number is there. And for those of you guys now in the community, this stuff here, when I put it in full presentation mode, you don't see any of that stuff. So this is just because I'm still editing the PowerPoint itself. And then I'm going to say, reach out. You will get access to the links to download the gear guides with the varying budgets. And so you are going to be presented. You will have access to all the levels of the gear guides with links for you to purchase the gear. You can mix and match from the things. And again, my contact information is here. I do have personal one-on-one coaching sessions, and I did create a coupon code for the attendees and for the employees of Whitfley. Remember that I am giving you access to a 15-minute individual one-on-one session as a post-survey call to kind of set the tone of where you are and what you're looking to do. So feel free. You can either book the session at my website here, or you can reach out to me via email, and we can kind of go from there. Thank you so much for providing me the option to present to you guys, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the individual mastery classes. And that's my presentation. That is it. That is what I did. Thank you for all of you guys that hung out, kept comments, gave me ideas, gave me feedback. That was super helpful for me. So I really appreciate that. I took a bunch of notes. So I've been streaming now for 2 hours. I do have to finish the gear guides themselves, but it is now, what time is it? It's 5:30. It's dinner time here. So these are the notes that I did. I have to go in and just adjust these gear guides with obviously microphone, camera, and then lighting. And then what I will do is, like I said, I'm going to make these bulleted lists here. So if we just come in and make this a bulleted list and come back here, and then with the bulleted list of the options for the microphone and the options for, the camera, depending on what the budget is. So I'll work on this stuff tonight, and I got to throw my logo on here. I gotta fix it up, tidy it up. But once I have it looking, probably once is the reason why is like, I'm just gonna put, let me see. I think because there's so much here. Yeah, Amazon link. So I think once I make these clickable links and I take some of the stuff out, it'll look a little bit better. I may put like a small picture here of, let's say, the microphone. Maybe not. I may just do a few different links here so that when they click it, they'll have an option of different mics. The same thing, they'll have an option of different cameras. And then I am going to put a QR code which links back to my kit.co page. So once I have that, yeah, kit doesn't give you, that's interesting, a GIF. You can share this kit to a GIF. Oh, that's pretty cute. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Huh. Okay. So yeah, I have to tidy up the, well, just finish up the gear guide. I already have it for the most part on a list, put the Amazon affiliate links, type that all here. And then that is what I also did. And Michelle, I saw you. What is going on? What's cracking? How are you? And so, what I also did do was on my website itself. Is this my website? No, that's, let me see if I can remember this. It was indiad.live/whipflea tutorial. Is that what? No, or was it Whipflea? I think I did just Whipflea gear guide. What I did was I turned this. That is not. All right. Damn it. I have to remember. No. Let's see what this link is here. Let's come back. So what's going to happen is I created a squeeze page, Whipflea gear tutorial. I created a squeeze page on my website. So then like this link, I'm going to add into the presentation here as a link. I'll probably also put it here. I'll probably put it here as a footnote. I just don't want people clicking as I'm giving the presentation, but it'll definitely be at the back. And if we go to now that squeeze page. Oh, you guys can't see that. Okay. Let me see. Let's bring this up. There you go. So then this is a squeeze page, a landing page, opt-in form for the gear tutorials, right? So I'm not just handing it away, handing it out to them. It's going to be that they put their information here, and then I have to finish this as well. I thought I deleted that, so I got to go back in and let me write that down. Kartra, gear, Kartra, and that keeps auto-correcting Kartra. Go into Kartra squeeze page and remove the bottom default text. Also, make sure the opt-in form is set up with a sequence. To download the gear guide once filled out. Okay, cool. Since I formed my LLC, I moved everything to Kajabi. Is definitely learning. So I'm moving. I don't know if you remember, but I stopped paying for Kajabi. I'm in Kartra now. So this is all done through Kartra, which is similar. I mean, I think for the pricing, the overall value, and it's funny you say that about the learning curve, because I feel like Kajabi was a lot easier for me to get than Kartra. I've had some challenges with Kartra, but I am liking it. So it's funny you say that. So let me show you, since we're on it, let's go to the website. Gigi, you're still here, or have you been like in and out? So the website is pretty much done. There are some adjustments that I want to make, but I did just stop paying for Kajabi altogether. I was like, you know what? I'm not. No. What do I want? www indiad.live. That should be it. There you go. That's the redirect in and out. Okay, cool. Yeah. So with the pricing, Michelle, so I was paying $200 with Kajabi. But they limit the amount of courses, the master classes, the courses that you have. They limit the amount of products that you have. Where with the same $200 that you pay in Kartra, it's unlimited. So unlimited products, unlimited courses. They call it memberships, which is kind of weird. That was an adjustment, but it's all unlimited. I'm actually on the $100 thing now, and you can get 2 master classes, 2 courses, and I think 10 or 15 products, which right now with the way my site is, I'm good. I'm going to eventually upgrade to the $200 a month, but because all I had was the Stream Deck masterclass, and then I'm building out another masterclass, I didn't need to upgrade to the $200 just yet, and I'm saving, you figure, $100 a month. But this is the site that I've built out so far in Kartra. So you can see my tabs over here, right? So home courses, the testimonials is still a work in progress. So that's something, and I am working with someone else who's been helping me. So obviously this stuff needs to be adjusted, the background image. But like these are 2 actual testimonials from actual customers. They gave me their headshots. I'm waiting on a few more of testimonials that I need to add here. So we have that, right? So my testimonials page. The other thing that I noticed is that when I'm on my testimonials page, I have to add that tab here. But if we go back into the courses, you can see, so that just needs to be adjusted. Then I have my store itself. And this was similar to how I had it laid out in Kajabi. So I have my consulting packages, which are here. And if they want to, like the free is the discovery call. And what this is going to do is that they sign up. So again, I get everybody. Exactly. That's what I'm saying is for me, like I said, the prices, I just ended up moving over to Kartra, and it's pretty good. So with my discovery call, they sign up first here. And then once they sign up, they are sent, there's an automation that they're sent with a dedicated Calendly, a hidden Calendly meeting that I made for the discovery call. But because this is free, I still wanted to put a form in where I can put them on a mailing list. So that's why I did it here. And then, like I said, then they're given my Calendly link and they can book time with me if we come back. So these are all under products. Hold on, what am I doing here? Then if I come now to the coaching, right, the consulting, so then this is the checkout page here. And then the same thing, once they make the payment, they pay here, they're going to be sent there's an automation that's set up for them to have the link to my Calendly to book time with me. And then we'll do it through Zoom itself. Let's see, the Stream Deck Masterclass, right? So we have that stuff there. And you guys know obviously what that is. I did a video testimonial from Tanya. She had provided that for me with just on her own. And like I said, still making some adjustments here. I use their checkout. It's not, I'm not at the point where I needed to add an extra membership or an extra feed or anything like that. So I'm using their checkout. I just literally stopped paying Kajabi about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so all of you guys that are on my email list will be getting an email saying we've made the move and stuff like that. So I don't have too much experience with it, but even with Kajabi, I was using their Kajabi checkout and I just used Stripe for everything and I had no issues. So then this stuff I have to adjust, right? So you have browse. These are some of the courses that I have or that I will be doing in the future, a dedicated link, a portfolio. What I really want to do with this section is I'm actually going to turn this section into a tab itself up on top. So I'm going to have a tab up here of the portfolio itself. And then I'm going to do videos, like a video montage. If you guys have seen my LinkedIn, I did an intro video. So I'm going to have something like that. Then I have this here, which is an embed player. So with this embed player, and I actually got this through Switchboard Live. So when I do go live, I didn't stream to Switchboard today, but if I would have streamed this, if I would have sent this stream to Switchboard Live today, it'll show up on my website here whenever I do that. So that's a dedicated embed player. I have to change the image here. This is the default that Switchboard Live gives us, right? But then I'm hosting my videos. I have a way now to host my videos directly on my website, and I can forego YouTube. I can forego Facebook or anything like that. It is, like I said, using the embed player that Switchboard Live offers. They give you a code, and when you're building out your website, you take that embed code and you put it on here. And then basically, if the stream was live here, we'd be able to click on it and we'd go from there. The checkout page, I think you can. And so what else is here? I'll go into that now really quick. And then, you know, again, your about page, your contact page, and then the login. This is for right now for the Stream Deck. I do have to change it for the portal overall. So if I log in, excuse me. So now this is what it looks like on the back end. Obviously, like I said, I switched everything over, so there's nothing here. Everything is from scratch. On the main page, you can see here that you have, like, you know, your analytics for your traffic to the page, to all of that stuff, which I think is pretty cool. All on the left-hand side is everything, right? So if we go to pages, these are all the pages that are being done, similar to what, you know, Michelle was saying, that she's using pages for the products instead of products. But these are the pages that I've done, and they're all, like, you know, the individual tabs that's on the website or on my masterclass. You have your forms here, and then that's what you were saying about products. If we do the checkout, what am I doing? That's the link to the checkout page. Hold on. Edit. Yeah, so the checkout is over here. So let's just we got to do save and next till we get to checkout. And the other thing that I do like that this offers, Kartra offers that Kajabi doesn't offer, especially as you start to get to higher price point things, is that they let you do multiple price points for one product. So let's say you were hosting a webinar, a week-long webinar, or a 3-day long webinar, an 8-hour long webinar, right? Something that is a higher ticket item, or a series, or let's say, you know, kind of like with what Alec did, that Alec has his academy now. So obviously if everybody gets access to the academy, that's a higher ticket item instead of somebody who's just purchasing one of the courses, right? So if you have a higher ticket item, you can do product price points where the person can pay all up front. They can split the payment into 3 payments, 3 equal payments. So if it's like $1,000, like I said, if you're doing an 8-hour seminar, or if you're doing an academy or something like that, that all-in access is $1,000. And that may be too much on people's pockets. So you want to do different price points. You can actually go in and you can change that, right? So you can see here, I have a one-time price. You can do different tiers, which I thought was really cool. So you have, like, I can add a price point if I wanted to. So you can do a one-time payment where they pay in full. If we wanted to add this price point, now we can do recurring, we can do installments, or we can do recurring installments. So again, if let's say it's a course membership, but you want to do recurring installments where they're going to pay for the course, you know, instead of like my Stream Deck course that they're getting everything all in, if it's a course that you're hosting over 3 months and you're doing it, let's say once a week, every 3 weeks, the course, well, you can do, you know, or once a month, you're releasing new content, you can do recurring installments. So then I have this here, the recurring installments, and you can see, or like I said, if you're doing weekly content, you can do a weekly if it's, whatever it is, $100 a week, you can do where every week they take out $25. So you can see the options for recurrence, weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly, or, every year, whatever that looks like, every 2 years. So when you start to get those higher ticket items, when you start to do things where there is like that memberships, the courses where you're releasing content and you want people to really be like in the community, you can have a mix of these two. I don't want this. So how do I get out of this? Back. But that I thought was really cool. Let's go back because I do want to go back to the checkout page because I know you asked me that. Oh, no. Okay, good. I'm like, no, I didn't want that. Okay. So let's go to, I want to save and next. That's for the pages. Once you actually have it done right, the page itself, and then, your thank you page, and then the checkout here. Okay. So you see your checkout page, header logo. So don't display my own logo branding. So I actually have this off. If I wanted to, I can turn this on. Let's see, this Kartra hosted checkout page, if we change that. So look, they have these different types. So look, this does answer your question, Gigi. So you can see here the theme color. So they have different templates if you want here, right? So they have these overall templates. Here you can't change the color. So this is just based off of a template. If we come back, because that's what I had, you can do an overlay. And if I wanted to see what that looks like, that's what it looks like here. But you see, you can add your logo up here. Embed the checkout form into your custom page or overlay pop-up if we wanted to see what that looks like, right? So it's an overlay pop-up like that. I'm going to leave that as is, but then you have your header, right? So you can do your header, display my own branding, so you can upload all of your stuff. So if I did want that, which I'll put, if you wanted a help desk, let me see, quantity. So it looks like you can't change the colors itself. It just has, yeah. And then if you had a page, then obviously that there. So they give you templates. Not that I know of off the top of my head. All right, but let me come back. Let me put this back to where I was. That's what I had. Okay. Yes, it will send the reminders for the annual subscriptions. Yeah, that's why I stopped messing with those embed codes, because it changes every time you go live and the video changes. Whereas getting an embed player through a company like Switchboard Live, you send it and Switchboard Live, the embed player has the code itself. And then as soon as you send signal to it, then you're good to go. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's that. And then you have all your options there. If you want to limit product quantity, you can change the form fields that they fill out. So if there's more information that you may need, so like Gigi, for you, like with your traveling business, if let's say there's something more that you need for them to fill out, like maybe passport country or something, I don't know. I'm just thinking, obviously, or if like you need to know if they have if you are focused and you're selling to other travel agents, and if you need to know, like if there's any accreditations, is that how you say it? I don't know why I can talk. Did I tell you guys came in late, but I'm recovering from COVID and my brain is I've been messed up for the last 2.5 weeks. But anyway, but you can customize the form fields. You can customize if these people can buy more than one. You have your express cart, your express checkout. This was cool. You can do tags for anyone that abandons the tags. So then you can see here, abandoned cart. I have 2 different tags. I have my just an abandoned cart tag. And then because this is a consulting product, I tag them also with a consulting abandoned, because then if I wanted to, let's say it now puts them in a list for mine. And if I wanted to send out anyway, of let's say a special promo for consulting, I don't want that filtered in with someone who's never bought consulting from me, but they've bought something just for my masterclass or something like that. So I really liked this cart abandonment tagging. If you did need terms and conditions, so I can see someone like you, Gigi, needing terms and conditions, right? You would have that there. And then if you did want to have a bump offer as you start to have multiple products, then you would put that there. Yeah, it's been, I was bad for 2 weeks. Bad. Anyway, so this is more with like, so once they pay, what list are they putting on, right? So right now you can see here, customer paying customers list. Do I have anything else here? Do I have, oh, I just have one list, import client newsletter. So we have Whitfley, right? If I wanted to do a new list, you can create a new list. That's fine. If you wanted to tag them, right? So actually, because this is for consulting, so I should have tags here. And so if I have clients and then whatever that is, courses, lessons, so not under that. Do I have coaches? What do I have? Nope. And then coaching. Okay, so yep, coaching. And then depending, like, right, if they were a free discovery call, I can put that there. And so now they're going to be under those 2 tags. If you did need to access the product, like, and you wanted to put some sort of limitations on there, and if there's any automations. So again, let's say a customer buys a product, the automation, what's that? Customer buys a product. And so Gigi saying, I need them to, I was thinking about you earlier today because I signed an NDA for a partnership that I'm doing. And then he sent me a scope of work. And I really was going to text you and be like, listen, how much can I pay you every month or whenever I get these? Just let's work out some numbers that I can send you these NDAs and I can send you these scopes of works. Because I signed an NDA for another company like 2 months ago, a month ago, give or take, 2 months ago. And really, I was like, I mean, I read it, I made sense of it, but it's just like to be able to say, oh, I had my attorney look at this. I really see, she's already yelling at me. I'm going to send them to you to review at your leisure. And like I said, you can quote me whatever it is, even if it's drinks and dinner or something. But today I was reviewing. So the one today I didn't sign. I did sign the NDA from yesterday. And then he sent me the scope of work today. I'm going to send them to you. I'm going to text you. You probably already yelling at me. My phone's on Do Not Disturb, but I'm sure you probably already yelling at me. But anyway. Let's see. So going back to the automations is if, let's say you have, like they're signing up for your course, but a part of signing up for your course is these PDFs. Like, Michelle, I know you have tons of PDFs and downloadables that you do, right? So you can put the automation together that once they sign up for the course, then there's an automation that they're going to receive an email with, whatever downloadable it is that pertains to that product. Or the same thing, they purchase the course and then the automation with the link to access it or something like that. Look, she said, nope, I'll yell at you here. Ay, coño. Hold on. Sorry. All right, so let me see what's here. Let me just finish going back. So that's everything. And then if, you have affiliates, obviously you can turn your affiliates off and on here. And then once you're done, you can just finish and then review the product. And then what's cool is that they give you tracking links. And then with the tracking links, you can see here. So you can see that with the tracking links, you can set up goals. So if you are like, all right, I want to, I have a goal of making, selling 500 of these or, making $10,000 from this, you can create your goals from all of these. So you can see here, right? The goals you can list under all of these, and then it'll show up here, which I thought was really cool for your tracking link. There's also page tracking, so you can follow your leads. That's like that, the cookies. When you talk about the cookies, that's what this stuff is here, so that when they allow cookies and let's say they click on the page, but they don't do anything, this external tracking link will give you the information that they came to your page, but they didn't quite do anything. And then if you wanted to do some other stuff, you got some information there. Let's see. So yeah, that's under the products itself. So I'm liking it. You have your funnels, you have your campaigns, you can create all of that stuff there. They provide you with help desks. So like if you wanted to have like that little pop-up of, whatever the case may be. This is new with the webinars. You can now host a webinar to your customers here. This is not a part of the entry-level plan that I have at $100, but when I eventually go up to that $200 level, that's something I know that I'll take advantage of as well. What else? The calendars, if you didn't want to use Calendly and you wanted to book everything directly, I did start to mess with it. You can see here the consulting, if you wanted to go in, they do give you your own calendar. So you can see booking and all of that. So that is cool. It is kind of, they do try to provide you with a lot of options to make it a one-stop shop. Michelle, don't encourage her yelling at me. Okay. She don't need the encouragement. So those are your calendars there. The media is everything that you upload. So you can see here, these are like royalty-free images that were uploaded. I have like that's like the worst picture of Tanya, the worst like thumbnail, but that's, a video testimonial. These are the Stream Deck courses that are here. So it's hosted. So if I wanted to easily now put that, let's say in a squeeze page. So let's say I wanted to put this course outline, or I don't know, this creating folders video in a squeeze page to say, look, here's a free preview of my Stream Deck Masterclass, and put that directly there for people to see. Well, now I don't have to go and re-upload it. It's being hosted on the Kartra site for me, and I can just continue to work and create my assets accordingly. I thought that was really cool. Like I said, that's under the videos and all of your media and stuff like that. And then the memberships, like I said, that was a little weird, but then the memberships is what we would call the courses, right? The master courses and stuff like that. And so with the memberships, we can see, so if I come in and I go into edit, and obviously this is from the builder's perspective, right? So password protection. So if you wanted to, obviously this is behind a paywall. So this is for a paid membership. But if you did want to do a membership or a course that is you offered for free, it doesn't have to be password protected. Then you would just change that there. If we hit save and next and you launch the builder, this is when you are building out your membership. This one was an adjustment. I will say that I felt like the course, doing my masterclass on Kajabi, I did like that better. And I don't know if it was a change thing, right? I don't know if it was what I liked, what I was used to. And because I had only used Kajabi, was the first like website and course hosting site that I used, and I hadn't used anything else, and it was the only one. But anyway, so you can add all of these things, right? So you can add an announcement, you can add all of your sidebar contents. So the sidebar content is this stuff here. Your divider. So if I wanted to do like, this divider over here, if I needed to have a button, a highlight, opt-in forms, anything like that. If you wanted to put a link to the calendar, you can put all of that stuff. And what's cool is that you can actually drag and drop some of this stuff. So let's say I wanted to do a survey here. So you can see as I start to drag, let me just unclick it. You can see in the middle of the page that it kind of, these orange lines popped up. So let me go back to the survey. And as I start to drag out, you can see it says drop here. So if I wanted to drop the survey on the bottom of the page here, and I don't have any surveys created, so this is not going to work. I don't think it'll let me save no category, no surveys. Save. Yeah, no, I don't have any surveys, but obviously if you have that, the same thing with a calendar, maybe if I can drop my calendar. So let me come in and let me drop the calendar because I did start to create the calendar. Okay, so coaching and consulting, I can change the colors if I wanted to here. It does let you save color palettes, right? So because I have the Ecamm and Espanol that I'm building out, I did put Ecamm's color palettes. I also have mine. So that's this one here. So if I wanted to put it under red and save, cool. So now this is something, if I wanted to offer this option here, right, for this, it says, right, it'll become active. Now people can book time with me. So again, as you are building out your membership, if one of the features of your course membership is that your customers, your clients can meet with you once a month for 30 minutes, well, then that's a great way to integrate the calendar that they log on to take the course content, and then they schedule time with you right then and there. So I thought that was really cool. Actually, let me look at this pencil. What are the options for the pencil? Oh, so the pencil is just if I wanted to change, the color again, or if I had a separate calendar that I wanted. You can move it around. You can manipulate it. So the only thing here If we move this, the only thing is that it only lets you put it here on the side, like some of these, right? So the post contents, which is in the middle. But then like the sidebar content is this stuff here. So if I wanted to, let's say I have a new product and I was trying to push a product, well, then I can push that product. You okay? Oh my goodness. Look at this dog. Look at this dog. She knows I put the camera on her. She just made some weird noise. That's why I stopped. I'm like, what's happening here? Koa, what are you doing? Stop being weird. Go back to sleep. All right, let me come back to that screen share. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. You're a pretty girl. All right, hold on. Let's come back over here. Koa, Koa always be up to something. I'm telling you, she made a weird noise and I was like, what's happening? Don't look at me like that. She's giving me the evil eye. She's like, listen, you've been on this stream too long. It's time to go. I love you, girl. I have a feeling she's gonna attack. What was this? This was something I did. Name of product. Oh, like I said, that if you're launching a new product and you wanted to push that to your members, right here, this is the style. So this here is the style of what you want it to look like. So you can see like the products on the side, on the top, right? So let's say I'm gonna do this one. Then you can select the product. So let's say I wanted to just do the consulting here. That's what it's gonna look like. So you can see as we change it, you can see it gives you a preview of what this looks like. All right, I want it to be small and compact. Let me see. That one's pretty cute. I like that one. Let me see what this one looks like. That one's cute too. Let's do this one. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do this one here. I'm gonna hit save and you can see now it shows up on the side. So then let's say I wanna see what this looks like. I'm gonna hit preview. She's big. Yeah. She's, I mean, for pit bulls, she's a little bit on the smaller end, but she's 60 pounds, but she's a solid 60 pounds, like solid. She big. Come here. You hear me talking about you? You remember she fit in my hand. Hi. She fit in my hand. Girl, I love you. Here, I'll do a full frame, a full body. Say hi to the camera. Give them some ASMR. Say hello. No. Oh, I don't want you kissing me on my lips. All right, I'm working. I love you. Thanks for the hugs. Oh, thanks. Okay. Go sit down. Good girl. That's my good baby. Go sit down. Stop. All right. Okay, so then you can see here, they also give you some options of like the placement. And it's hard. Oh, no, you can't see. Hold on. My bad. Okay. So over here, these two things is just really like, you can see if you take a look, these are where the modules show up, these blue little like capsules, pills, where you can see over here, they're in the top. I looked at both. I like the way it looks on the left. So I'm going to save and preview. And then this is what it looks like from your student's perspective. So you can see here that I went in and now clicking on that takes them to the products itself, right? So if we take a look here, clicking on this here takes them to that product page. And then these are all clickable links. So if somebody wanted to go to my YouTube page, that's there. And then these are under, this is something they call resources. So because this is about the Stream Deck, right? So I have Love Elgato, add more to your collection. And these are all affiliate links. So if somebody goes in and now that's going to take them straight to Amazon for the affiliate links and stuff. Let me come back over here. And then this was the calendar that we just added, right? So you can see here, book 1 hour session, and then, you know, it'll go through the motions of that stuff to book time with me. So that's pretty cool. I do like this stuff here. And then if we come back, let's get out of here. Let me cancel. I want to delete this. Yes. Let's delete this. Yes. And so you can continue to add other things, right? So if you wanted to add images, You can just, like I said, is all drag and drop. So you can add different stuff on here. And this is the same thing for the most part, really, when you're building out a page. So it's pretty cool. Let me get out of here. It's pretty cool. I like it. Like I said, I'm just wrapping everything up with the site itself. But I did say I'm going to stop paying for Kajabi because I was just wasting money at that point. I just have to make some final touches, like I said, just going on to and fixing the testimonial page and little things like that. But that is it. All right. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours. I am hungry now. It is dinner time. Koa is, I'm sure she has to use the bathroom. I looked at her. Wait, that's the wrong one. She was upside down again. But I know she has to use the bathroom, so she is ready to go upstairs, and it's dinner time for both of us. And then I got to finish up tidying up the presentation and those gear guides that I was showing you. So for those of you guys that hung out and gave me feedback and stuff like that, thank you so much for hanging out during this co-working session. I did get some stuff done. So I did do the dry run. So that was really helpful for me. And then I can sit upstairs on my laptop and finish those gear guides. And that is it. I have had like a lot of stuff going on, positive things, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my banking job. Like I mentioned, I signed a few NDAs. I got a scope of work or schedule of work earlier today for a potential partnership for some income, additional streams of income coming in from all different places. I have an outstanding proposal to someone that I signed an NDA for that I'm waiting to hear back on. It's just one of those things that is like, and that one's for potential on-site video production. And it could be lucrative. I mean, I'm excited to do the video production. I'm excited for those skills and things like that and the exposure that it'll bring. Still working with Switchboard Live. That's been really good. We're also looking at opportunities. We're waiting for some invoices to be coming in. And if those invoices come in, then I should be coming on with a little bit more of an advanced capacity with Switchboard Live to do more marketing and things like that. So I'm super excited. But you know how it is. Listen, you got to wait on the money. You got to wait for the invoices to be paid. But I'm really excited for that. So we're hoping that some of that stuff comes to fruition in September. So in September, I am looking at a lot of different things. This webinar was a huge one that I had been working on, and it was a good sizable invoice. I figured if I can get one of these, and here's the thing with that webinar, I can use that as a blueprint to then present to other corporations, right? To other, like for the 2 banks that I worked for, those 2 banks did similar things like this accounting company. So even with my experience of the banks that I know and the different people that I know in corporate America, if I can use this webinar as a blueprint, I can get the testimonial from the company once, everything is done and it's smooth, and use that to add as my portfolio. It's like, oh, there's things, it's all within my grasp. There's really positive things happening, but you guys as entrepreneurs and business owners know that it's like, you just gotta wait, right? Like it's so close and it's like, oh my God, I really need this invoice to come through. And oh my God, I really need this proposal to be accepted and payment to be made. And I'm so close and positive feedback, but I need it to happen. And it's just like the waiting game. But that's where I'm at. And I'm hoping that I can share more as, so this one with the scope of work, the NDA I signed yesterday, that's pretty much a go. When I got the scope of work today, I requested an adjustment to be made. If not, we would be good to go and I'd be getting payment. And it's a brand partnership to work with one of the brands that we kind of know. It's a whatever. Once I get it, I'm just waiting for him to respond back. I'll be honest with you. And as soon as he responds back with what I requested, then that's going to be a go. And I can share that with you guys. I'm actually really excited for that because like I said, it is a brand partnership where I'd be more or less a brand ambassador doing what I do, tutorials. It is tech stuff. It is tutorials to be helping or teaching on the products of that particular brand. So I'm super excited, but just waiting for that last piece to be signed off. And then, of course, I'm gonna be telling y'all because I'm gonna be directing you guys to the channel to watch those videos on that channel. And then the other gig and all of this other stuff. So I have been quiet, but it's not that I've been not working on content creation or not working on being an entrepreneur. I've just been working on the back end, kind of, oiling the gears. And then now that it's like, all right, I've had some movement, things have settled down a little bit. It's like, all right, let me share with the community. And then, like I said, as I get more things finalized, that one outstanding proposal, that I have a big outstanding proposal that I'm hoping, as long as nothing has changed, as long as I'm still the front runner, and then I have other little small outstanding proposals. But that big one, and even the smaller ones is partnering with someone else to do remote production, but they have a background in TV, very small, like interviewing people and stuff like that. So they're tapping into their network to do remote production. So there's very little, I don't want to say little because these are all big things when you think about it, but I have all like there's things in my pipeline that as soon as I get, it's like, I'm so close. Like I said, I'm right there. I can grab it, but it's exactly that. Just moving in silence, really just staying dedicated, and focusing on me a little bit, making sure that I'm okay. I'm all right. I am in the right mind space to do everything. But I was like, all right, now it's time. What is she doing? Please tell me you guys see what was happening in the background. Do you see this? I'm gonna have to go back and clip that section because she's playing with a toy. Like all I saw was this thing. Look. She crazy. I'm glad that you guys, she's playing with a toy. I'm glad that, Koa can give you the puppy enjoyment for the evening. Is that time is Zoomies time. But anyway, that is a very quick sneak peek of some of the stuff that I've been working with. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will keep you guys posted. There will be some content that I have planned that I will be producing and or creating and putting out. And I'll catch you guys on the next live stream. What I'll do is I will do another live stream at the end of the week once this webinar is done. The webinar is on Wednesday. So once this webinar is done, I will come live and I'll talk to you about how it went, successes, opportunities, things that I would change, learning experiences, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, you guys. Nos vemos. Catch you guys later. Peace out.